And switching over. Welcome back, everybody. How's it going? Sorry for the delay. It took us a little while to clear up the scuff because VTube Studio is being weird. I don't know exactly what was going on. Also, Illuminated Memory, thank you so much for the follow. I greatly appreciate it. Welcome on in. The Pandora scuff, yeah.
It just follows me, okay?
It followed you all the way over to my neck of the woods. Um, Sierra, welcome on in. How's it going? Oh, why didn't that work?
Ooh, there is some nice lag here. I wonder if it's because I'm hosting instead of you, and the scuff is just following.
Who knows? I forgot. Apparently my TTS didn't work. I'll give me a second here, Anarchist. I will be turning off the TTS during the interview though, but I will have it on. You're gonna get your points back. Don't worry. Um, it apparently just did not work. So give me a quick second here. We're just gonna go ahead, reject this one, so you get your points back. Complete the other one since that one actually worked out. Brunch loves food. I love that name.
You're here. By the way, hello everyone. Thanks for coming over to Oscuris' stream. You guys are awesome.
I do appreciate it. Yeah, you guys are great. For anybody who is new, really quick, also Brunches, thank you so much for the follow. Really appreciate it. Oh yeah, now yeah, there's a pretty big delay. And now there's two versions of the throwing system up. Weird. Huh. Wonder what that's about.
I really am sorry. This scuff just follows me. Brunch, I was telling him that when I streamed with Do, which is the only collab I've done, I spent an hour on scuff before the real stream could start.
It's great. God, at least it didn't take that long. It only took about 20 minutes. Um, you burnt the hell out of your wrist making candy today. Oh boy. Also, Shockwave, welcome on in. How's it going? Really quick, just to kind of give an introduction. I will introduce myself for anybody who's new coming in, and then Pandora, you can introduce yourself to the lovely audience who might not know you. For anybody who's new coming in from Pandora's side of things, hi, my name is Caleb Skiris. I'm your resident Demon King. I typically do RPGs. Those are the games that I tend to play. A wide variety of RPGs, just depending on which kind it is. I tend to focus on talking about storytelling in games and all that kinds of good stuff. I do play, competitive games every now and then, like Rainbow Six Siege or Marvel Rivals, things like that. And I also do narration streams. I will be going back to those here this Sunday. I will be working on making my way through the Count of Monte Cristo, and we're about halfway through now. Or like 1/3 of the way through. I can't remember which. It's been a while since I read. And this is the start of a new program that I want to kind of start doing, where I will be highlighting VTubers that are on the more creative side of things. I'm focusing right now on authors just
Use
because
hashtag Caleb Cute for plus 10 points
No.
to your cool stat.
no, there is no using hashtag CalebQ for anything. Get out of here with that. No. Damn it. Um I want to highlight authors that are no. Don't encourage this.
Sorry.
I want to reach out and talk to authors or just other like writers and all that kind of stuff that are within the VTubing space, because writing's my jam. But at other points and at some point in the future, I would like to talk to artists and musicians and things like that. And I'm also planning on talking to people that aren't VTubers that I think need some extra eyes on them, I think, or just people I think would be interesting to interview. Pandora was kind enough to entertain me and join in for the first one. And so Pandora, go ahead and introduce yourself to the lovely audience.
Hey everybody. I'm Pandora. I'm an author. Used to be Greek mythology, spicy romance. Now I'm cozy fantasy, no spice. Um, I have a lot of scuff, but I also my stream is usually I play a lot of Genshin Impact, Star Rail, got some gotcha games, Withering Waves. Those are my main games. And yeah, it's just a chill, cozy place.
Fantastic. Let me go ahead and actually shout you out here to everybody, so that way, for anybody on my side of things who hasn't had the chance to follow you yet, they can go ahead and do so. All right, cool. So to now, I told Pandora this, and just to kind of let everybody else know, these are going to be more candid interviews. I'm not like while I do have like sort of pre-generate not generated, but like I wrote these questions out ahead of time, and I would be sending these out to people I would be bringing on. This is meant to be candid. I want people who are coming onto this to understand that to have fun with like the questions and to be honest with the questions as well, because I noticed that a lot of times whenever there's like interviews for artists or authors or anything like that, it's very kind of like I guess the best way to put it, sort of sanitized. And I don't like I understand why, marketing and all that kind of stuff, that's completely understandable. But personally, I like to, get to know the person as they are, as a person, not just for the business side of things. Um, so yeah, you guys are also more than welcome to ask questions as well. So I want to encourage chat to get in on this, and we will be picking out questions just depending on how much time both of us have. Pandora, I do want to ask, what kind of time frame are you looking at here? I know you're an hour ahead of me, so I want to make sure I'm not keeping you up too late if you got anything early planned for tomorrow.
Sure, I wasn't sure how long this would take, but I'm going with once the answers start getting really silly, maybe we end there.
Okay,
Because then
that's
I'm
fair.
tired.
That's fair. But yeah, Sully, you're right. Stilted might be the word, yeah. But oh god, no promises. Oh geez. I don't like that. I'm concerned about that. But yeah, I will ask for people that are on my side of things, do refrain from throwing stuff at me or using the TTS. I will be turning off the Twitch throwing system for right now. Uh but the TTS is still up, but I will ask to kind of save that unless there is like some burning question you want to ask using any two either of my two little cute TTS mascots. But I'm ready to get started. So what about you?
Well, I don't know. I just realized that I'm right by the cute mascots, and I kind of just want to pet the dogs. Is that a thing? Or the dog
Yeah,
and the dragon?
yeah. I mean, you can pet them. They're open to getting pets, so it's all good.
Excellent. I think,
If
what are your pets' names for the people that don't know them? One's Demeter, right?
Demeter is actually my real life dog.
Oh,
Demeter
nuts.
is the basis for Persephone. Persephone is the hellhound, and then Gilbert is the name of the dragon. Um, I let chat name him, and they went with Gilbert. I
That's
turned off the throwing
awesome. Okay,
stuff.
now I am ready. Now that I've been introduced to the dogs, I'm ready. Or the pets.
All right, we're ready to get going, and we already got our first question from chat. We'll hold off on that. Um, we'll hold off on that until a little bit later. But thank you, Sosa. I appreciate that. All right, so Pandora, now that you've introduced yourself and you did say that you kind of make that switch from writing Greek mythology, spicy literature, um, and you made that move to over to cozy fantasy. What are the projects that you've worked on? Like, tell chat about them. Because I know I've spoken at lengths about like playing with lightning and legends and librarians, but maybe you want to give a little bit more depth to it than I have.
So I have like a dozen stories that nobody will ever see because they only got halfway done. But if we move past those dozen, then my published books are Playing with Lightning, which is kind of a Greek mythology Yu-Gi-Oh romance. I really wanted to write a book like Yu-Gi-Oh because there is no book like Yu-Gi-Oh. And then I realized there's a reason there's no book like Yu-Gi-Oh. Not enough people looking for it. So that is my first series. And then my second series that I just published this week is Legends and Librarians. That is about a magical library where the books, characters from the books actually come to life. That was my switch into cozy fantasy. That's been going really well. And then I also post on Royal Road. So if you're interested in Royal Road at all, there are free chapters that get posted as I'm writing it. And on there, I'm writing Slime Sweets and Dungeon Treats, which is a cozy lit RPG, which is like a video game in a book. So those are my three main ones that I've got going.
Hell yeah, that's great. Like I've advertised for you a couple of times whenever we've talked about this in the past. Um and yeah, I we don't have the Royal Road commands. That's actually one of those places that I want to publish to at some point in the future once I'm able to like get to writing myself. Um but right now it's, Pandora did tell me about it, so I'm really interested in like checking out Royal Road as a potential place to do some pre-publishing up until I compile a book like you have.
It's amazing. The community on Royal Road is so supportive. The readers are amazing. And the other writers on there, just everyone that I've interacted with has been so willing to help out and help get you going on Royal Road. And it's just been a really cool place. I was pleasantly surprised when I went on there.
That's great. That's always great to hear. I know that at times like certain places can have certain reputations. I've heard depending on where you're writing and where you're publishing. Um, but I mean, the fact that you've said you've had a really good time of it, uh, as opposed to, not to like talk too much smack, but like I've heard some pretty bad things about like Webtoon recently. Like Webtoon is a pretty bad place for like people to try to like publish their webcomics, because of how they license all that, and I just want to be like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna avoid Webtoon if I ever work with an artist to work on a comic or something like that.
I haven't looked into it that much, but I was told by people to avoid Webtoon as well. I have
Yeah.
no actual data on it at all because I haven't looked into it. Um, but yeah, I do know that the one bad thing with Royal Road is my book is now on like 6 different pirate websites.
Oh.
Like immediately after I started gaining traction, it was everywhere else.
Yeah.
So that's the only downside.
Yeah, that happens a lot too. I mean, I think it's one of those things you can't really get past when it comes to like writing in on like the internet because certain platforms might not be available in other countries because I that happens a lot with manga, right? It's like why manga gets
Hmm.
pirated so much. So it's like there's a good and a bad thing because it means like, well, more people are gonna read your stuff, but it's also not in an official capacity, so that's where like it's such a gray area for publishing.
Yeah, and I didn't really like it doesn't bother me that much because like you said, at least my story is getting out to more people. The
Hmm.
only concern is when you're publishing to Amazon, if you go Kindle Unlimited, your
Hmm.
book isn't allowed to be anywhere else. And even if it's a
Oh.
pirated site, they might not believe that it's not you doing it, and your book can get taken down. So that's the only downside. But hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So how does that work with Legends and Librarians? Because you published it initially on Royal Road, and now it is on Kindle Unlimited on Amazon. So is it now unavailable on Royal Road?
Yes, that's correct. So how Royal Road works is once people move to Kindle Unlimited, it's called stubbing. I'm
Hmm.
not sure why it's called stubbing, but it's called stubbing. And you take down all of your early chapters. Most people leave like 5 chapters, maybe 10, depending
Hmm.
on how long your book is. I think you can have about 10% still up. So people leave that to get new Royal Road readers interested, and then the rest
Oh.
has to get taken down when you go to Kindle Unlimited.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I did not know that. Great. Huh. I mean that kind of goes to something similar because uh mind you, really quick for everybody here, I do read spicy stories. I mean, Pandora wrote one. And very similar thing with one of my art or one of my favorite authors right now is Annabelle Hawthorne. But mind you, she still actually has like all of her stuff available for free on like a bunch of different like websites. She doesn't publish on Royal Road, but it's really interesting to see like how people will do that, where they'll use like the free websites. Like in the case of Annabelle, because it's mostly spicy stuff, like it's a lot more 18 plus websites. But like she's also on Stories Online and other places, AO3 I think as well, and people will just kind of get that to get the ball rolling. But then the official release with all like the professional editing, maybe some art, things like that, will still be published. And I know Annabelle has not taken off any of her stuff, but I also believe none of her stuff is on Kindle Unlimited either, though.
Which would probably
But
be
yeah,
why, because
Brody.
you can have ebooks up anywhere you want, as long as
Mhm.
it's not in Kindle Unlimited, because that's like the Amazon has exclusivity once you sign with Kindle Unlimited, or once you like agree
Oh,
to put it in there.
gotcha. So it's kind of like I know that the same thing kind of applies to their Audible
Mm-hmm.
publishing too, because that's one thing with Annabelle too. She was saying like, oh yeah, like I would want to publish elsewhere, but Audible has a grip on the audiobooks, and then Kindle would also have that if I went with Kindle Unlimited and things like that. I remember her saying.
Yeah, with Audible, it's if you want the highest royalty,
Hmm.
you have to be exclusive with Audible. But you can
Okay,
be on Audible for a lower royalty, but most people don't choose that because they want the higher royalty, but then you have to be exclusive.
yeah, that makes sense. Kind of switching back to sort of like the introductory stuff. Um, how did you get started with writing? Were you kind of just writing in journals initially, or were you writing on like fan websites, AO3, things like that back in the day?
You know, that was in your little questionnaire, and I had to sit and think about my life for a bit, because that's been a very long time ago, and I was like, how did I start writing? What can I tell Ascurus that he'll believe? I don't even remember. I know I've been making up stories my whole life.
Hmm.
The first place I actually started posting was a site called the Online Writing Workshop. And the
Okay.
Online Writing Workshop is where I actually like thought, hey, maybe I could do this writing thing. It is an amazing website if you ever have stories that you want to share and get critiques on, because how it works is for everything you post, you have to review 4 other people's chapters in order for you to post a
Oh.
chapter. So it really highlights the act of reviewing other people's stories. And I think you grow as a writer so much by reviewing other people's stories. So that
Hmm.
was just, it was constant reviewing, because if you wanted to post, you had to review. So it was
Hmm.
just a really interesting environment, and I learned a lot there. And that's probably my real start as a writer. Before that, I don't remember.
Gotcha. No, that's fair. Um, I know like so many people like would post on like forums. Like that's one of the ways I got started with writing myself is forum like role playing posts. Like that's one way that I got into it. So a lot of people get started online nowadays, which makes a lot of sense.
It does. It's a terrifying place to start, but yes. The internet is terrifying.
Yeah. Though that does make the question, I guess what was like one of those moments that like between like getting critiques on your own work or getting critiquing somebody else's work, what was like one of those things that kind of like caused a little bit of a shift in your head? Like what made you like maybe change your writing style in a significant way, or what made you want to like branch out and try writing it maybe in a different genre, or introduce like character writing that you maybe weren't super familiar with.
The biggest thing that sticks out to me is definitely my shift from writing kind of spicy romance. And when I say spicy, that definitely depends on what your version of spicy is, because
Mhm.
half the people that read it said it was completely tame and there was barely any spice in it at all. And then other people literally shut the book because they were like, "Whoa, I didn't know you even knew those words."
Mhm.
So, it's like a sliding scale. But I shifted from that to cozy fantasy with no spice. Um Mainly because I realized that if I wanted to write books and I wanted them to sell, like
Mhm.
I am writing books for the enjoyment of it, yes, but I'm also writing books because I want to share them with people and I want to be successful enough that I can pay my editors and I can pay my book coaches and I can just like, I want to break even. And to do that, I had to start looking at the marketability of books.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to start researching what readers wanted to read, what I wanted to write, and then find like the middle of that Venn diagram of the thing that I would have fun writing and they would love reading. And so that was when I shifted into cozy fantasy. Twitch actually helped me with that. My viewers on Twitch were amazing. And I asked them, what do you guys think I should write? Like, why do you love watching my stream? What is it that makes you keep coming back? And that was the coziness and just the heartwarmingness and wholesomeness. And so that's what I put in my writing. People wanted to feel good and happy and they wanted to smile and just not stress about things. So that's when I shifted into the new genre.
And that's fair. And that was actually going to lend into like my next question about like, because I we've talked about this before where, you know, there's this marketability with writing, right? That you kind of have to like break into, because it's like if you're a brand new author, you kind of have to play the game, as it were, right? And like that's the sort of sense that I got from when we've talked about this, where you kind of have to follow sort of the pathway, like you have to follow the sort of a pre-laid plan when it comes to like how you set up like books. Or I think we also talked about this another day where we were talking about like why you decide to switch from one pair between books, right? Because since you've already kind of finished one pair after one book, you don't want to rehash certain things, or you don't want to fall into like the romance trap of like some weird, like I could imagine like some weird like contrived reason why they're arguing or why they're falling apart and all that kind of stuff. I could definitely see that, and you're switching over to like a new pair that's sort of like fresh eyes type of thing, right? And market.
Yeah, so that was another big thing with the romance genre. People get very confused because people who are romance readers, they expect very specific things.
Mm-hmm.
Like a romance novel has to end with happily ever after or happily for now. Like if it ends with them not together at all, even if it had a great love story in it, it is not a romance.
Yeah.
And I realized that me trying to write a good romance in a short book, it just wasn't my thing. Like that was something that people continually say, well, the romance felt really short, or it feels like insta love, or something like that. So that's another thing I decided to switch. I'm going to focus more on the cozy fantasy and have the romance be a subplot.
Yeah.
And see where that goes. And then I can use the same characters over multiple books. Because in the romance genre, a lot of people expect after they get together, the book is done. Because unless you're going to go to like, and then book 2 is them getting married and like struggling with married life. And like, unless you come up with new relationship things for them to grow and overcome, it's harder to do romance with the same characters unless it's a subplot. So now that I'm making it a subplot, I would like to use the same characters multiple books, because you spend so much time working on those characters, and stopping using them after just one book is kind of hurting my soul. I want to keep using them.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it goes back to like because like for like Legends and Librarians, like I want to I know that the next book is shifting from Nissa and Rowan, but I like Nissa and Rowan. They're great characters, and I do want to see where the other and how the other characters grow and shift as well. But again, same thing happens with like I'm not ashamed to say that that I like playing with Lightning. I feel like playing with Lightning is kind of slept on, but I also like Aegon and Lena and some of the other characters that were involved. I want to learn more about these characters and how they interact with the world moving forward and all this. I'm not the type of person to just like, oh yeah, the happily ever after. Nah, give me more of like what they do afterwards, because to me there's no sort of finality with characters, right? Like if there's finality with a character, it's probably because they're dead, right? So my whole thing is just like, I want to know what their lives are like after the supposed happily ever after. I want to, how are they handling new challenges and unanswered questions in the world? So Yeah, it's one of those things that kind of caught with like romance though, because like other romance authors do the same thing. It's like they're switching pairs, they're the pair are maybe just referred to and all this other kinds of stuff, which kind of makes sense because yeah, it all comes down to marketability because some people like their storybook ending, so it makes sense. Can't blame them.
Agreed. The more you guys talk about playing with lightning, the more I miss Lena and Aegon. Oh, they were so good.
They
One
were.
day I'll go back to the world. But Stella, out of anything I've written, what has been my favorite character to write? Can I say the dog? Cerberus. He's a three-headed puppy in Legends of Librarians, and oh my goodness, every scene with little Serby was my favorite scene. He's the best ever.
He is really cute. Again, he was pretty good throughout Legends and Librarians, and I was actually going to say let's kind of go through some of these.
Agreed, because we got a couple of questions going on.
Yeah, so let's work our way back up. Sally says, "What other creative works inspire your writing?"
Hmm. For me, the easiest is TV shows,
Mhm.
because they're easier to watch. Like, if I need to read a whole book series to get inspired, I don't always have time for that anymore.
Okay.
So I get inspired by a lot of anime the most because I think that my writing is more going towards anime styles anyway, the more I write. So I definitely think it's easier to, even in movies and other shows, it's easier to see a type of character and be like, that's the kind of vibe I want. So I've been more towards the vibiness because if you can base one of your characters on another character's vibe, because that's not copying the character, that's not, I'm not saying like word for word do everything that the character would do, but if you
Mhm.
can grasp the vibe of a relationship or the vibe of like he's snarky and he's like grumpy but heart of gold, like if you can capture that vibe and you can see it in something that's quick to watch,
Mhm.
that's always easier for me to grasp onto. So definitely TV shows.
No, that's fair. I mean, it's clear with what you said about playing with lightning, right? It's like you were very inspired by Yu-Gi-Oh, right? And that's completely fair because I do the same thing. Like coming from like two writers, like I know I based a lot of like my own personal writing on like Bleach, right? Bleach is one of my favorite and has inspired a lot of like how the certain vibes that I want to go with the world building or the power system or anything like that, and other things like that too. Um,
Random fact,
mhm.
Playing with Lightning is actually based on an anime as well.
Oh,
And it is my very first romance anime. So literally, I started writing romance because I was like, people love romance. I'm going to give it a try.
hmm.
And then all my editors and book coaches are like, you're not really romantic, right? You forgot to even say I love you in this book. Like, come on. Are you sure you want to do this?
Oh my
But so
God,
I
that's
based
great.
it off a revenge romance. The
Oh,
anime is called Skip Beat. And it was one of the first animes I've ever seen, and I
uh-huh.
loved it. It was a revenge romance. So
That's
that's what that book's
great.
based on, or
That's great.
inspired by, not based on.
Sosa, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. And Sosa, we're actually getting to your question. Again, shifting gears a little bit. But if you weren't a writer, what would you be?
Oh, well, I do work in IT,
Okay.
so that, I guess. But writing is always the dream. Writing is definitely the dream. I mean, I had other dreams when I was a kid, like I wanted to be an archaeologist and a translator and I don't know, random things, but writer, definitely.
Yeah. No, and that's fair because I think that's kind of part of the thing, right? It's the same with streaming because you got to do the 9 to 5 grind for a bit to pay for starting to do writing or starting to do streaming or starting to do art and things like that. You've got to do the grind a bit in order to like then build up the base and then maybe be a full-time writer and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. The day job of working in IT definitely gives me the freedom to hire the people I want to hire
Hmm.
because I'm the kind of writer who needs a whole team of people. Like
Um,
I'm a lot of work. So, I'm glad I have the day job to afford my dreams the way I want to do them.
exactly. Yeah, no, that's good. Orion asks, when you say you need to follow industry trends, do you mean the business side or the content of the books? And they do add some context to this. The book that Orion is currently writing in the series is very queer heavy.
So I definitely mean the content of the books. Every genre has expectations.
Hmm.
So, like the romance genre, readers expect a happy ending. No matter how long it takes to get there, the characters can go through hell and back, but they end up together and they're happy. Even if it
Hmm.
takes multiple books to get there, that's how it ends.
Hmm.
Mystery, you expect that there will be a mystery. You expect that there's probably gonna be detectives, there's gonna be a villain, there's gonna be some plot that they're figuring out. There'll be some twists. Like those are things you expect in a mystery. So every genre and then every subgenre. So if like I'm writing cozy fantasy with some romance,
Hmm.
cozy fantasy has expectations. Readers expect that it's not going to be super violent and gory.
Hmm.
They expect that they can read it and not be super stressed and uncomfortable.
Hmm.
They expect to feel good. And a lot of the expectations are vibes, but depending on the genre, it definitely has very specific these are the things you picture. Like sci-fi, you picture science fictiony stuff.
Yeah.
I just sounded really intelligent there. But you expect stuff. For cyberpunk, you would expect slightly different things in a cyberpunk story than you would in just a normal sci-fi story. So like finding what readers expect and making sure you hit those is how you make a happy reader.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because again, it's meeting the expectations, right? There's only so much subversion that you can do to a story, right? And sure, you might be able to maybe get away with it if you're able to hide that subversion really well or do that subversion very well, but then, you know, in some cases, like if you don't do it well, your book's gonna flop. People are gonna be like, "Well, it's not what I expected." Blah 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 blah. Like I wanted this at the end of the day, but it didn't happen.
And if you are subverting it, you still have to know what people expect
Hmm.
to subvert it properly.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
a lot of when you are writing, a lot of your the way that you can figure this out is read in your genre. Read
Yeah.
tons of stories in your genre. See why people like things. Even tropes. I know tropes get a bad name.
Hmm.
Tropes are things like um enemies to lovers
Yeah.
or grumpy sunshine, things like that. Tropes are the things that you can market with. If you start your book and think of the like pick two tropes that you're going to market that book with, it'll help you so much down the road because there are things that readers can latch on to that
Hmm.
they kind of like if you say enemies to lovers, they go into that with expectations and they know what they're getting, so they're more likely to buy it if they like that already. So
Yeah.
tropes are very amazing marketing tools.
Yeah, I agree with you because I feel like tropes, like being told that you're tropey is such a bad, like it gets this rap, right? And I agree with you that that tropes need to kind of be they need to be used. They you shouldn't be ashamed for using them. Obviously, the strength of the writer is going to, make you like or dislike those tropes, but it's like you said, using something like enemies to lovers, how many shows or how many books like bank on the whole enemies to lovers thing, or I think even like another one is like the sort of the villain who is sort of tamed by their partner, right? Like in for instance Dracula and Lisa from Castlevania, where it's a very kind of tropey romance where he like Dracula loves his wife and would do anything for her, and then when she's gone he's wanting to destroy the world. I feel like that's so many relationships and like books nowadays where it's like, oh yeah, that's a very like tropey romance thing, but when you do it well, you love the characters for it, because I love Dracula and Lisa. They're fantastic characters, and that's what hooks you. Tropes are relatable to a sense because it's just like, yeah, it's like if you like the lancer or whatever, like you like those tropes, and that's gonna bring you in and get you invested in the story.
And then with tropes, like figuring out why someone loves a trope. Like
Hmm.
I did a deep dive into alpha holes.
Hmm.
Alpha holes are the alpha male character who's an asshole to everyone except like one person.
Yeah.
Um, why do people like it? And I did a deep dive and it was fascinating why people liked that trope. And it actually like got me thinking, huh, okay, if you like it for these reasons, like I could see two different sides. Some people just liked kind of just like the jerk. And some people liked it because it was the protective, like you in your day life, your actual life, you are the one that is doing everything. You're taking care of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And some people just liked being taken care of and like having everything handled. And
Mm-hmm.
like they didn't have to step up and do everything. Someone else could just be counted on to do it, even if they did it in a kind of alpha hole manner.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so like figuring out if you want to use a trope, why people like that trope is the key. And with like Askira saying that you like different shows for different things, nobody ever thought, I love this show so much, I never want to watch something like it again. No. You're like, I loved that show. Give me more like it. You Google, hey, what are anime like Castlevania?
Mm-hmm.
Because you liked it, you want more. That's what
Exactly. Yeah.
tropes are. That's what books are. You like it, you want more.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's one of those things. It's like you want more of it, even if it's not, the exact same thing. You just want those stories that scratch that similar itch.
Yeah, like isekai.
Oh man, yeah, because I mean, here's the thing. That's why isekai is so popular. Like for as tropey and as badly written as some isekai are, isekai is super profitable nowadays. And I mean, it's gotten to that point now where isekai is now even bled into America or American and Western lit spaces, because I think every other week I see isekai lit RPG novels showing up, and I'm like, geez, these things are just like all over the place now. Not only are we getting the isekai from Japan getting translated and turned into anime, but now we're also getting lit RPG books that are isekai, or even just maybe they might not even be lit RPGs, but they still might just be, fantasy stories with isekai elements in it. It's super popular for a very good reason, I would say.
Yep, definitely. I realized my chat's been stuck on scroll because I was waiting to answer a question from Stella.
No worries, because I was actually going to ask that question next for you. Is it the one, have you ever written a character and realized that they were similar to someone you know IRL?
It was that one. And no, I have not. I am very strict with never writing characters after real people. Um, and even like I definitely base them off fictional people because if I do something terrible to that person, I don't want to have a person, I don't want to picture a real person. Like my mother and my father are wonderful people, so it's always weird if I like make either of those characters in a story be terrible or like have the main character have a terrible childhood and I'm like,
Oh,
I don't want my mom reading this. Like,
oh,
so I don't like connecting to real life at all. I like keeping it very separate so I don't picture anything weird.
and that's funny because like I read a book or through Audible, and it was very much saying like, hey, if you're gonna write people that are part of your real life, like it's okay to do that. One and two, it's also just the make sure you just change enough of the character from the characters to the real person, so that way you're not getting an angry letter from their lawyer saying like you defamed them or some shit like that. It
Agreed.
was really funny, I thought, because it's like I will say it's like yeah, some characters in my own writing are reflective of like people that I know in real life, um but obviously, because I am also a writer that, like, I fall into the trope of the hero has to have a tragic childhood or a bad childhood. That none of that is reflective of my parents. My parents are great, and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, it's still a good trope because it introduces a lot of conflict that some people are related or is relatable, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Then going on to Sosa's next question, what do you think is the most underrated genre? That's interesting.
Oh, I have no idea. I'm gonna let you field that one.
I don't know either, because it's like I feel like every genre gets its love, I think. I think maybe one that maybe we don't see a lot of in maybe both in both like manga, because that's like a lot of what I read, and as well as in like American like fictional literature. Um, like the sports genre doesn't really get like a lot of love because sports is often used as like a sort of like a catalyst more so than anything else. Um like I know that there's a couple of, like tennis anime, but like it's like tennis but super anime, so it's like Dragon Ball Z, and then there's like tennis, but tennis is just this thing that people use to kind of saddle the romance onto, right? Um, so like sports, I would say is like an underrated underrated fictional genre, like where like it is just like mostly about like competing in the sport, right? I think that's one that doesn't get a lot of love.
Though sports romances are becoming a real thing. Like hockey
Yeah.
romances are hot right now.
Yeah, I've seen
Random
a lot of
facts.
those too, yeah. Let's see. Where's the next question? I thought we saw one.
Brunch. If Panda did make a romantic book, what would the title be? Well, Playing with Lightning and Legends and Librarians, because both of them are romantic,
There you go.
even though I'm terrible at it. So, funny story, the spicy scenes in Playing with Lightning, I wrote them, and then my book coach went through and said, I think you can spice this up. Like, so then she added some tips and some we had the most awkward hour phone call one time, and it was over video, so it was like face to face talking about
Oh.
penises. It was so awkward. I
Well,
am blushing even saying this.
well,
It was like an hour long of horrible embarrassment, but it had to be done because I had to write that book.
well, I mean, we did have like a similar conversation. It was like we didn't talk about this at length, but when I shared with you the draft of What's Next, which is a book that I would want to write, um, you were saying like, "Oh my God, you are way spicier than I am. Holy hell!" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I've got like quite a bit of like experience under my belt as like trying as writing spicy stuff." And
I
it
am
was
like
so funny
red in
because
the
it's
face
like,
and warm right now because I just said that on stream. But yes, reading yours, it was pretty spicy. By the way, Oscurus writes pretty spicy stuff, and it was pretty good too.
"Thank you, I appreciate the vote of confidence." Um, but yeah, I thought that was just really interesting because it's like I mean honestly yeah I like the spice in playing with lightning. I was just like, yeah, like for me it's like could be spicier, but then again this is also coming from somebody that reads a lot of spicy stuff, so like I there's just a lot there, right?
Yeah, there definitely is levels because I thought playing with lightning was decently spicy, not like overly spicy, but it was like mid-range. And the people who are used to reading spicy said it had a sprinkle of romance. I'm like, do I spice it
Interesting.
up or spice it down? So the first Legends and Librarians was super spiced up. There was like 5 super spicy scenes. And my first developmental editor said, are you trying to write? I don't know what I'm allowed to say on Twitch and what I'm not, but you get
Smut.
the drift. You get the drift.
Which is funny because like calling back to again some other writers like Annabelle has a spicy scene in almost every one of her chapters in her books, mind
Which is
you.
completely fine if that's what you're trying to write.
Yeah,
Like, and
exactly,
I
yeah.
wasn't intentionally like I wasn't going for that genre. So
Yeah.
if you are going for that genre, more power to you because
Hmm.
it's amazing.
So, but it is really interesting because like how some people will add like or how some people will do spiciness because like another series that I'm reading only has really like 1 to 2 spicy scenes at the end of the book, at the tail end of the book. Um, Now there's a lot of implications leading up to it, but it's very much like a romance where it's just like, oh yeah, and there's just no fate to black once they do the deed. And so it's just really interesting because then, contrast that to people that write, every chapter has a scene like that, and it's just really um it is really interesting to see where like the writing process goes with that a lot of the time. Let's see. What's the next question we got here? I want to make sure that we don't let too many of the chat questions fly by us, and I can't pin all of them though,
There was one
unfortunately.
from Shockwave asking for both of us what are our favorite genres of books that we like to read.
Oh, go for it. if you want to start first.
I am definitely an urban fantasy fan. I
Mhm.
dig the whole masquerade of the magical hiding from the human vibes, and I don't know. Urban fantasy is my jam. Why I never tried to write it, I have no idea, but that's what I read.
That's fair. No, I got you. I would say like urban fantasy is one of my favorites as well. Even though I've moved over to a lot of sort of like traditional fantasy. Um, but urban fantasy I think is one of my favorites because one of the books that inspired me a lot too was the Percy Jackson series. I loved what Rick Riordan did with that series, and you know, I don't even think it's that hot of a take anymore, considering like everything that's gone on with J.K. Rowling. But honestly, I do think Percy Jackson is by far the better of like the YA sorted house sort of stories, right? I felt a lot more represented with Percy Jackson. I felt like Percy Jackson just did things a whole lot better. The characters were a lot more interesting, and also I felt a little bit seen because I related a lot to Percy and some of the other kids throughout that series, and it's one of those books that really inspired me. And I again, urban fantasy was just one of those like really formational like genres in the back of my head. Um, in the back of my head when I was starting to write. Let's see.
Percy Jackson is amazing. It's just so good.
Yeah, I know, and I actually need to catch up and read the other books that came out after like the second series.
Yeah,
I
I keep
actually do
wanting to
have
read the Egyptian one, and I haven't gotten into that yet.
the Egyptian one's pretty good too. I like how it's like it's in the same world, but then you don't have to but like it's the whole thing of like don't think about it too hard, but like yes, all of the gods exist, but they just kind of stick to their own little like corner of the world, which is great.
That is very cool. I love gods in fiction. Like I love mythology. I love all of it. It's just fun.
Especially when they're like sort of heavy-handed and kind of assholes. Because I noticed that a little bit with playing with lightning. It's just like I liked how like Aegon was kind of an asshole. He was kind of a dick. So was everybody else. Zeus, with his sort of ostentatious pride and the fact that he demanded somebody play his deck and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was really great.
So, funny story about Zeus. I actually was inspired by, have you played the game what is it? Phoenix Rising? Phoenix Rising? Phoenix
Uh,
Rising?
I have not, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
It's the
Hey, what are you doing?
oh gosh, it's a spin-off of a very popular game series, Odyssey. What's the game where Assassin's Creed?
Oh, okay. I did
I
not
think
know
it's a
that.
spin-off
Interesting.
of that,
Uh-huh.
if I remember correctly. But anyway, the gods in that have such big personalities and they're amazing. Like I loved that game. One day I will be streaming it.
Do
Um
it.
it was I haven't finished it, but the gods in it, I just love their personalities. So Zeus was a little bit based on that because he was kind of a more he wanted entertainment kind of person and he just
Hmm.
kind of was a little sillier, but yeah.
Gotcha. Orion asking a technical question, which is interesting. What is a writing coach, and at what stage should you get one?
So a writing coach is magic. They're just magic. No, but seriously, basically, you can find different kinds of them. They basically, it is like taking a class on writing, except it is just focused on your writing and nothing else. So the book coaches I've worked with two different kinds
Hmm.
where you usually with most book coaches, you submit like a chapter or two a week, and then they go through and critique it. And then you can then revise it. Some of them read the revisions to see how you implemented their suggested changes. Some of them don't. Some of them you meet with them for an hour every week. That's the kind I prefer because the thing I'm the worst at is brainstorming. I am
Mm,
terrible at thinking of the initial idea unless I can talk to people about it. I
that's fair.
really need people to talk to get my ideas going. So book coaching, I meet with them an hour a week. We talk about our ideas. We outline my story during those hour phone calls. We outline the chapters I should be writing, and then I submit the chapters to her every week, and she reviews them and gives me pointers on how to improve the writing. And it has been amazingly helpful. It is, like I said, it's like going to school, but just for your own writing. I would never go to school for a writing degree
Mhm.
when I can go to school just to get my own writing be more awesome.
Exactly, yeah.
When, yeah.
No, go for it, go for it. Just finish that. I was
I
just
was just
agreeing with
when you
you.
decide to get one, that's completely up to you. Depends on what stage you're at, how much you can afford, because some book coaches are fairly pricey. The ones where you don't meet with them for an hour, like you don't have the phone call, those are usually more affordable because they're not meeting with you regular and they can review as when they have time throughout the week.
Mhm.
It really did level up my writing though. It was a big difference because they pointed out what I needed to do. Like they were so good at pinpointing my problems and giving me solutions, giving me resources to go look at, teaching me things. Like it was just very helpful.
I mean, that does sound like a really useful resource, and right now I can't afford the time and I can't afford it money wise, but that does sound like something I probably will do in the future myself.
Like what you and I did, where you sent me a chapter and then I threw some notes on it and then you looked at it again. And you edited it and then sent me it again, which I still have to read that. I'm terrible.
It's okay, you're
But
busy.
I'm forgetful is the real thing. But the other nice thing about book coaches is it's accountability
Mhm.
because you are paying them whether you submit something or not. So it's the accountability of if you don't want to waste money, you better send your chapter in.
Exactly, yeah.
So I do like that part.
hmm That's one thing. Sort of like adding my own question to this is like, what kind of helps you keep yourself going, right? Because um, I know accountability is really hard. That's one thing I struggle with as well, especially considering the fact that, I work a full-time job, I go to school as well. And so writing is sort of like these like flash in the pan moments for my attention span. So, and I don't know if you deal with anything like ADHD like I do or anything else, but how do you kind of keep yourself on track? How do you keep yourself like motivated and accountable?
Um, Royal Road's been really good about that because I'm starting to feel super guilty every time I don't post for them because they're just loving it so much and I love seeing their reactions. I get a real high from reader reactions
Mhm.
and that keeps me motivated. And thankfully, I have very chatty commenters, which is awesome. So that helps me. I also play a writing game called For the Words.
Mhm.
I'm going to spell that out because it's a weird spelling. It is a website where it's like a video game, and to fight the monsters, you have to write
Oh.
words.
Oh, okay.
So, like they have a whole story with it. You get in the game and there's a story stringing things together and there's different lands, different countries that you go to and meet different kinds of people and different creatures. Some you fight, some you befriend, and all of it is just by writing words. But it has like you can build a house and decorate it and you can go through the story and there's lots of other stuff to do too. And they do events like they have, I think, 3 big month-long events every year, but they have some kind of event every month where this is like, I think right now they're doing a winter festival, and then in February they have a Valentine's Day themed festival
Oh.
where you can get different outfits for your characters and
Mhm.
different weapons and different things, and it's just cool to participate in. That keeps me
Okay, good.
motivated too.
That's cool. I like that. I like that idea a lot. That sounds like fun.
That's pretty
Um,
cool. Just to follow up on the book coaching, Orion was asking about the process. How long does the process of a book coach take? How much does it cost? They hired an editor a year and a half ago and only got 2/3 of the book edited.
ooh.
Ouch. Yeah, that is painful. Um, uh, the process of book coaching, I mean, it's an instantaneous. I send something earlier in the week and then she has it reviewed by the time we meet. So
Mhm.
I think it would probably depend on the book coach, but my book coach has a couple day turnaround, sometimes day of turnaround, because if we know that I'm submitting one morning and she knows she's reading it that afternoon right before our meeting, it's same day sometimes. So that process, but if you're actually going to be writing an entire book with a book coach, for the one I'm with is a 6-month term because that's how long it probably takes to outline and do the rough draft. So that's that. For an editor, um, it's about a month. It takes about a month for my full book to get edited. And by getting edited, it means that they leave 5 billion comments in the comment section that I
Whoa.
have to go through and figure out if I want to approve or not, or follow through with or not. And there's different kinds of editing because there's developmental editing, which is editing for plot holes. I
Mhm.
always recommend developmental editing, especially if you're a new writer. That does an overall look at your story. It's not about grammar, it's not about sentence structure, it's about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And that I think was my best money spent on editing costs because
Mhm.
I've thrown my whole book out multiple times after developmental edits.
Ooh.
Because, yeah, with like Legend Librarian, it wasn't cozy enough. And they pointed out all the reasons why it wasn't cozy enough. And they're like, you can still write this, but it will not make cozy fantasy readers happy. So you can write this and you can call it something else, or you can redo it and make it cozy fantasy. So, like, she gave me the choice. She didn't tell me what I had to do. It
Mhm.
was just looking at it, it wasn't cozy fantasy. And that's what I was trying to do. So, developmental editing is good in that sense. There is line editing, which makes your sentences sound better. There is copy editing, which is for grammar. Each of those takes about a month. Each of those, unless you find cheap, they're about $1,000 a piece, which is
Ooh.
painful.
Yeah.
You
Ooh.
can find cheaper. You can definitely find cheaper. But that is on average what the quote I have gotten from most people. And most editors, you can send like 10 pages in. They will give you a sample edit to see what their style is. Because no matter how good an editor is, if they don't fit your style, they're not the right editor for you. And same with them. Like if your book doesn't fit them, they're not the right editor for you. So
Mhm.
it's all a sampling process.
It's all, yeah, no, I totally get that shit. Though $1,000 a piece, that's scary.
It's so painful. That's why I said like I need these books to start selling
Mhm.
because I need to break even.
Yeah.
I don't need
Ooh.
to be a millionaire with these books. I just want to cover my editing costs.
Exactly,
That's
yeah.
all.
Uh,
And some people, what they do instead of editing, you don't need to do crazy editing if you don't want to. You could also send to other writers,
mhm.
and in return, you could read theirs. And that can be very helpful too. It just takes more time because
Yeah.
then you are bouncing back and forth, and then you have to read a whole other person's book. There are also a lot of people on Fiverr who are just starting out.
Mhm.
And that can be good too. It all depends. But yeah, there is definitely the you can trade with other writers, but not every writer is going to be able to give you as much pinpointed detail as an editor can. So it just depends on what you want to do.
Yeah. Is this the point where I shill out the fact that I'm gonna start doing like writing commissions and editing commissions? Obviously for friends, I'm
Ooh.
gonna that's more something I will do for you guys. Obviously with a discount in mind. But that is something that I'll do because Selly Celestrius had me write a poem and a little short story. And mind you, this was just something in like I kept it within like a 2 page limit, and Sally loved it, and it really just that is like kind of going back to that motivation thing. It was just one of those things that like I really like doing that for somebody, like writing them a story, writing them a poem, so that they could put it into this little spread that Sally did, and it was they really enjoyed it.
That sounds really cool. Hey, write me something. No, I'm
Sure,
just
I'll write
kidding.
you something. Uh, give me an idea and give me a word limit that you want me to hit, and I'll quote you later.
Sounds good.
Um, really though, this is now a VTuber question, which I was hoping that we'd get some of these because this is one of those things that I did not bring up, because I couldn't think of a question for it. So Fenris asks, because he says, I always get into VTuber origin stories. You mentioned starting writing with Greek mythos, and your model it has red hair with green eyes. What was your inspiration?
Um, well, I chose the name Pandora for the Greek mythology link. I wanted readers to know what kind of books I wrote, which is funny because now I'm not writing Greek mythology. Um, and I chose Pierce. This is actually going to go to somebody else's question because my favorite childhood author is named Tamara Pierce.
Oh,
I
that sounds
loved
familiar.
Tamara Pierce's books as a kid. I love them to this day. They're what got me into writing, and I wanted my last name to be kind of an homage to who got me into writing. So that's the Pandora Pierce. The red hair is because I have red hair in real life, and the green eyes is because I have green eyes in real life. Well, green-ish. So I don't know. I guess I just base it off me.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, that's basically how it is with Caleb. Caleb is appearance-wise very similar to myself in real life. obviously sans the horns and the pointed ears and the golden
They
eyes.
don't have
But
horns. Darn. The mystique is broken now.
I know, right? Um, but I mean, it's very much the same way. I couldn't I I can't really see myself doing something like super crazy like some other VTubers do with their designs. I would prefer kind of basing it off myself IRL and kind of just evolving from there. So I totally get what you mean by like, basing a lot of your own uh your own design off yourself. So all the power to you on that one.
I did actually write an origin story. Like I was actually going to write a series of short stories that was like my VTubing adventures.
Hmm.
And then I ended up changing my whole origin story because apparently I transform into too many different things on stream. So now I'm a shapeshifter and that did not fit the lore at all. So now it's just out the window.
Yeah,
It's a really good
now
story
you're the
though.
queen of the slimes, aren't you?
Now I'm big into slimes. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think my stream might think that I'm a slime. Or three slimes in a trench coat.
Three slimes in a trench coat. That's beautiful. I love that.
It was Slime Rancher actually has a character that I didn't even realize was three slimes in a trench coat until I started Googling it. And I'm like, wait, we talked to that character. How did I not notice that?
Oh my god, that's great. I love that. Brunch asks, would you ever make a book about the bad guy and not the hero, where the ending ends up with the hero winning, but the book is about the bad guy? So so the protagonist is the villain, right? Okay. Huh. What do you
So if I wasn't writing cozy fantasy, yes, I would totally do that because I love books about the villain.
Mhm.
I have a thing for the villain, guys.
That's fair.
Stella will tell you, there's lots of comments on me liking the villains in the games more than the heroes. But
Uh,
as for cozy fantasy, I technically am because book 2 of Legends and Librarians is about the Demon Lord.
mhm.
And it's about the Demon Lord and Willow, who's a writer. She's trying to write the final book in the Demon Lord's book series. Because the Demon Lord like came out of his book and she's trying to write him a worthy ending. Except the
Uh,
problem is the book isn't actually the series isn't about the Demon Lord. It's like a classic anime style of the hero has been
oh.
fighting the Demon Lord's armies for years and it's just this big like long overdrawn hero fighting all the demon generals building up to the Demon Lord and you've never actually seen the Demon Lord in the book. So like she's trying to
Oh.
write the ending, this final book, when you know nothing about the Demon Lord. So technically it is about the villain, but not in the way you're probably wondering.
Okay. I like that though. That sounds really interesting. I can't wait for that next one.
It's so much fun. I'm having so much fun writing book 2. It's so good.
Hell yeah. Sally's coming in with the what was your least favorite book you had to read for school and had to do a report on?
Oh man, you think I have a memory? I don't remember a single book I read in school.
Oh man.
Um, I think I Spark Notes 1984.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Because I think I ran out of time, so I'm gonna go with that one. I did do a presentation where I was Lucifer, Satan himself, and I did this whole big acting thing. That was from Paradise Lost, so that was one of my most fun ones. That one stands out.
I was about to say it's like that. I'm pretty sure you're talking about Paradise Lost because at that
Yeah.
same moment I looked over at my two copies of Paradise Lost. I'm like, she's talking about Paradise Lost.
My teachers was like, "Are you seriously doing a presentation as Satan?" I'm like, "Yes, I am."
You know what? High five to High School Pandora for that one because that's something that I would do too. So
That was good times.
that's great. Oh man. I in my on for me to answer that question though, I would say Grapes of Wrath. I think that's one of John Steinbeck's like most drawn out and boring books. I like some of John Steinbeck's other stuff, like Of Mice and Men. Like Of Mice and Men is fucking heartbreaking. Grapes of Wrath, it's more like it's I don't even I can't even come up for a joke for that one. That book was really annoying to read. Oh, Stella asking, what would be a few pro tips for someone starting out on Royal Road and other similar sites?
Pro tip would be don't. Okay.
Oh.
Do what I say, not what I do. This
Oh.
is one of those moments. Write a lot of the story before you start posting. Because if you have a
Oh.
backlog, you can then post consistently. Because Royal Road, especially in the beginning, you're going to want to get as many chapters out as you can because
Mhm.
people don't even start reading until you have like 10 chapters out because they don't want to start liking a story and then have you not finish it.
Yeah.
So 200 pages is where people really start picking up, which I was like, that was like my whole book. So that was a problem. But
Ooh.
write
Yeah.
more,
Mhm.
especially because then you can edit it because those beginning chapters are the most important to pull people in. So you're going to want to edit at least the first couple chapters heavily. I actually sent my first 10,000 words of Slime Sweets and Dungeon Treats to a developmental editor, a lit RPG developmental editor on Fiverr before I posted to Royal Road so
Mhm.
that I could rewrite it to fit lit RPG better because lit RPG was a new genre for me and I was not doing it well. So he gave me a lot of tips that really helped pull people in better. And they weren't huge changes. There was maybe one or two big changes, but most of them were just tightening things up and making them more focused on lit RPG in a way that Royal Road readers would appreciate.
Mhm.
Royal Road specifically, they're very lit RPG heavy.
Yeah.
I do have my romance up there. It did okay. It did not do stellar. Um, it's if you have lit RPG, that is the place for it. So lots of different curb your expectations because it's very hard to get super popular right away.
Mhm.
Ads are your friend. Unfortunately, if you're trying to get super popular very quickly, ads are your friend. Um, yeah, that's about it. I'd get write 20,000 words before you start posting. I think that's a good number.
Okay, well, at least I know for the lit RPG story that I'm working on, at least I know that for the future.
Well, because when you're writing, you're kind of learning things as you write. And I think 20,000 words is a good bit into the story that you'll realize if you want to change gears a bit, if you want to go a slightly different direction, if
Mhm.
you realize that maybe you didn't start in the exact right spot and you can have a hookier beginning. I think 20,000 words gives you that room to grow and your story can really shine and you can
Mhm.
go back and rethink about that beginning because you only have one shot to hook people in the beginning. So
Exactly,
you
yeah.
really want to.
Mhm. No, that's fair. Kind of calling back to both Tamara Pierce and me with Percy Jackson. What is your favorite child book, or childhood book or series of books from Shockwave?
Definitely the Tamara Pierce ones. I'm
Yeah.
still going that. I was a big Harry Potter fan. I oddly read those books out of order though, because I read them on a trip and someone gave me book 3 before the other books. That one was really weird. But
Oh, okay. Huh.
I'm a big fan of both those and Percy Jackson, of course.
Yeah. If I were to say, I actually still have like a lot of like positive feelings about the Aragon series, the Inheritance Cycle. I think for as I don't even want to say derivative. I think Paolini for having written that book as like a teenager, right? I think he still did like a really bang up job, especially towards the tail end of the books, because a lot of the stuff that he was called out for being sort of derivative and all that, he's able to he grows as a writer by the end of the series, and even his most recent books, including the sort of sequel series on Murtagh, or maybe the spin-off of Murtagh. I started reading it. I think Paolini has grown a lot as an author, and it like feels a little bit more confident with his own sort of original ideas and his own and his just general world building. But I still, even looking back on Aragon from the beginning, I think Paolini, the series is still pretty fucking solid, at least in like an 8 out of 10 in my book.
That was a good series. I never finished it because it wasn't out when I was reading it. I didn't have it. I didn't own
Oh.
it, maybe, the whole series. So, but it
No-
was good. I'm a fan. I was so sad that that movie wasn't good enough to finish the
yeah,
whole series.
yeah, but
I still watch it. I still like it.
we might be getting a TV show though.
Ooh, ooh, so exciting.
Yep. Apparently the people that did the apparently like Disney is looking at licensing it for a TV show.
Ooh, I'm excited about that.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Another question from Orion. Follow-up question for Railroad. Do they have a tip system, or is it just free and then you publish elsewhere?
So the Railroad system relies on Patreon. So Railroad itself does not take any money. They do not have a tip system or any form of paying the authors. But what most people do is they set up a Patreon, and then Railroad allows you to link those two things together. Or at least, like, if you go to the tip button, it sends you to Patreon. And what people do, that's also the reason writing more is better, because you can have people sign up for like a monthly $5 thing, and you'll provide them 10 extra chapters every month,
Mm-hmm.
10 chapters ahead of Royal Road.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you're going to be posting those same chapters on Royal Road later, people will pay to read them in advance. So the more chapters you
Yes.
have written and the more of that backlog you can keep written for Patreon, that's how you make money with Royal Road.
Mm-hmm. And I know other authors that have done similar things. Again, Annabelle does it. Her Patreon, you get access to chapters like I think we get 2 chapters a month, and that's 2 or 3 chapters ahead of where she publicly publishes everything, right? We also then get early access to like the actual physical releases of books too. So, uh, yeah, no, that's a really good idea. Patreon, Ko-fi, any other like tipping system, probably like one of the best ways you can like sort of get get income in as a writer.
Yeah, and if you're doing Royal Road, it is specifically Patreon because they won't let you link anywhere else.
Oh, really? Oh,
Um,
okay.
it specifically has a Patreon button. So like you could technically link other places, but they have a button for it, and that's what Railroad readers are used to. So right now that's the best option. And the more chapters you can give them in advance, the more they're willing to pay. Because especially if you keep consistent with it. Really, the key to Railroad is consistency. This is another do what I say, not what I do moment because I suck at consistency. The more consistent you are, the better. Because a lot of readers on Railroad search by latest update. So if you want to get probably 2 to 3 chapters a week, I know some people who do 5 chapters a week and do really well, but
That's
two to
nuts.
three, just so that you get up there in the latest updates if people are searching for things. So
Hmm.
that is another problem and why you might want a bunch written.
Gotcha.
If you can't support 2 to 3 a week, you can say in your description, I'm posting once a week on Wednesdays. Any kind of consistency you can do will make people happier because they'll know when I was being consistent and posting on specific days, I had the best instant readership. Like I would post and people would read within 10 minutes. Now that I don't
Gotcha.
do that, I can definitely tell the difference.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Twitch, right? Because like Twitch also really depends on consistency, right? Um, because it's why it's so important to like have a schedule on both Twitch and also just elsewhere for your community. It's, posting up a schedule every week that says, "Hey, I'm going to be live 4 days, 3 days, 2 days out of the week for so many hours and at this specific time." I think consistency is the key to success in like so many different places.
Agreed. And it's very hard to be consistent, but it
Hmm.
definitely is. I mean, it makes the fun creative things start feeling more like work
Yeah.
because eventually you will have weeks that you just don't want to do it.
Yeah. Hmm.
And if you have that backlog, if life things come up, you still have chapters to post and you're still okay. So
Hmm.
Royal the backlog is key. I never have a backlog. I write the chapter and post it the same day. It's a terrible plan. Don't do what I do.
Oh, geez. Having a good plan in mind, what's your go-to writing snack slash drink?
So I write every morning before I go to work. I write at 5 a.m. Ha, that's a lie. I haven't been waking up early lately. I'm supposed to write at 5 a.m.
Oh, geez.
So usually I'm eating breakfast when I'm writing, and I am very boring and I eat the same breakfast every morning because I'm lazy and don't want to make anything. So it's a granola bar and water. Nothing exciting.
You need a you need to have a better breakfast. You need the proper brain food for writing. You need some
I'm like
protein.
half asleep and I just kind of I eat my granola bar, I play Wordle, and then I'm ready to go.
Beautiful. Question for the both of you. Would y'all like to see the little doodle I made for y'all's interview? Sally, please do. Please share that.
Your art is wonderful, by the way. I peek at some of it in Oscaris's Discord.
Yeah, no, Sally's fantastic. Sally has done since I've known Sally, I think I've gotten like 5 or 6 pieces, um, and they're all wonderful. They're fantastic pieces of work.
I agree.
Um,
It's awesome seeing so many different creative people because whether it's writing or drawing, like it all takes effort, it all takes commitment and time and creativity. And I just think it's wonderful when people keep doing it and keep at it because the big thing with writing is don't give up.
mhm,
Because someone told me you have to write like a million words before you're like proficient. Like it's something, so many hours. You spend so many hours on a thing before you're actually really good at the thing. And I do
hmm,
think that's kind of true because I've been writing for 15 years and I just started feeling like I actually knew my shit and I'm good at it maybe 3 years, 4 or 5 years ago. Not
mhm,
much, recently. So it just takes a lot of time. Everyone sucks in the beginning. It's
mhm,
just how it is. You didn't
mhm.
learn to walk when you were a baby. Like you took the time, you learned. So yeah, just if you're new to writing, it's okay to suck.
Yeah.
It's okay if it's not fun. It's okay if it's
Mhm,
hard and horrible and messy and you hate it. But if you actually want to write, if you enjoy anything about the process, like my favorite part is people reading it and
mhm.
people enjoying what I've written. I don't actually enjoy the writing part. I think it's a real struggle for me. I don't have fun with that.
That's
But I
great.
have a lot of fun with the time when they can read it. So
Mhm,
if there's something that is just driving you that you need to do, like you cannot get that out of your head, keep at it because everyone starts bad and gets better. Like it just takes time. You'll get there.
mhm. And I agree with you. That's actually like one of those things too. It's like I think the my favorite moment is when I've had people read my stuff and they say they like it, right? When again going back to the stuff that I've shared with you or the stuff I wrote for Selly or this or other stuff that I've done for other people or stuff that I've done for myself and people have read it. When I get the feedback, and honestly, I don't even if the feedback's not good, I like the feedback in general. I think this is something. It's also something that I talk about when streaming too. It's like I want to hear the feedback from people. Like even if it's just like, hey, you did a good job. Like the feedback, the moment like people like see what you're doing and they're like, oh yeah, no, you did a fantastic job. Hell yeah. Um, and it's part of the creative process, whether it's writing, painting, streaming, video editing, something like that, whatever. It's like that stuff. Like again, it's like what Pandora said. You're gonna suck at first. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You are going to suck. But what makes you better is one having the passion to keep going and like the drive to get better and the time, right? It's gonna take time. It's gonna take time to be good at anything, right?
It does always take time.
Hmm.
And Sally gave me the no, yeah, the 10,000 hours before you're considered an expert. That was what I was trying to think of. Yes, thank
Oh, there
you.
we go.
Yeah, it's just it takes time. And if you're willing to put the time in, you always get better, even if it doesn't feel like it. Man, I've gone back and looked at some of my earlier stories, and I can tell the difference. I can even tell the difference between Legends and Librarians and Playing with Lightning. Like, I can tell because Playing with Lightning, the beginning it makes me cringe. It makes me cringe so hard because I remember rewriting those first couple chapters. I remember rewriting them probably 20 times.
Oh
Like
wow.
I threw it out, I started over. I threw it out, I started over. Rewrote it, I improved it, I edited half of it. It was miserable. By the end, I couldn't even look at that first chapter anymore. And it reads that way. It doesn't actually to other people, but to me, like I can see every hated moment of me rewriting that chapter so many times. And it is cringy. I can't even read it. I don't like it. Because I was trying to fit too many things in at once. I was trying to not info dump, but still also show the whole world and the environment and the crazy magical dueling. And I just squeezed too much in and I just don't like it anymore. Thankfully, the rest of the book I love. I just had to get past that. Like I kept redoing it nonstop. And yeah, it's hard to get past it once you start hating something. So
Hmm.
like if you can keep the excitement up and you can find the things you love in what you write, because there will always be something that you love. Hold on to that part because it is not easy. I don't like you hear about writers who write a book in a month or and publish or like they publish a book every month. Okay, when did
That's
they
nuts.
actually start writing that book? It
Yeah.
probably wasn't at the beginning of the month. Might have been a whole year ago, and maybe they've been lining up those book a months for a year, and they are just at different stages. Like you could be writing one, editing another one, working on formatting and publishing another one. Like you can be at different stages. just because they publish a book every month doesn't mean they wrote it in a month. So that's a key. Like, it's hard to compare yourself against other writers when you don't know what the other writers are doing. And like comparing yourself to finished products, like looking at a book and being like, oh man, that book is amazing. I could never write that good. Well, that book has gone through how much editing, how many beta readers, how many rounds of revisions. Like, it's not a fair comparison.
Exactly,
By the way,
yeah.
we can totally hide me for I don't know how to hide me on your stream.
Don't worry. I will figure that out here in just a second. There we go. Because I'm gonna go ahead and just overlay it and then make it. No, wait, no, that's not what I need to make small. I need to make this
But yeah,
small.
if you can, with comparisons, I know this wasn't even a question, but it's such an important concept. Never take your writing and compare it to a finished book. It will make you feel miserable. It'll make you feel like you're terrible at writing. You are not. They were at that point too. Every book starts somewhere. So don't compare a new work to a finished product. If you were comparing a new work to a brand new work, that's a whole different story, but that's not what most people do. And they feel like they're terrible writers. And oh my gosh, this art is adorable. And I'm
Right.
so in love with this.
I love it. It's great. um, and you know,
I love this. Thank you so much.
yeah, no, Sully did a fantastic job. I like Caleb with the handlebar stash more. Thank you. um, it's great because I think Sully does that to me now because of my love for Dracula and his immaculate facial hair. And so I love it. I love the handlebar stash a lot. It's so cute.
Love everything about this. It's so good.
Right.
I love it.
But like, you know, speaking of like comparing projects, and I know this one a lot. Like I know this like fairly recently too. Well, what is a project you haven't been able to tackle yet? Like, what is your holy grail? And what can you share about it?
Me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I jump between ideas a lot. So I've got a lot of them. But my dream, I always want to, I don't know if you guys are Chinese costume dramas. I have always wanted to write a Greek mythology version with like the gods in Greek mythology and have it be like this huge drama between all the gods and like have it just be up in Olympus and have like the Chinese costume dramas. They're so dramatic. They are like the most dramatic things I have ever seen. Like my emotions have gone through the ringer hardcore with some of these dramas. And I like that would be such a cool thing to do, but it's so big and so crazy and it's just something for future me, especially now that I'm writing cozy fantasy. I can't really jump out of cozy fantasy for a while. So that's a long-term down the road dream thing.
That sounds like a good one though. It sounds like a lot of fun.
It sounds like it'd be so cool. And then Lore Olympus kind of did that too. So then I actually haven't read that because I didn't want to ever steal its ideas. So I own it and haven't read it.
Oh, that's fair. I mean, well, actually, that does bring up a question that I've got here, and you were exposed to it. But what is your thoughts on good artists / good writers borrow, where great artists / writers steal?
Okay, so no story is ever original, no matter how much people tell you it is. Your creativity has been influenced by everything you watch, everything you read, everything you experience without realizing it. Like your idea, you might have no idea where that idea came from, but it has been inspired from something else. Real world, TV, movies, books. So nothing's completely original. But I do think there's a big difference of stealing someone's idea and being inspired by someone's idea. There's a very popular monster romance writer, very, very popular, Opal Rain. She writes A Soul to Keep. I love the book. It's amazing. But anyway, she has, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the anime Ancient Magus Bride.
Yeah.
She was inspired by Ancient Magus Bride. So the main character, the love interest, is a skull-faced baddie. And that they were different though. She put her own unique spin on it. She made new custom rules for her world. But then a lot of other authors started making skull-faced love interests. And some of them did the same thing. They made them their own. They developed new world building for them and lore, and
Hmm.
they made the custom things. But some people took her thing exactly of like
Oh.
hers. There's a soul between their horns, and there's like their eyes glow, and the color, the emotion changes based on what they're feeling. And it was like
Ooh.
this whole big thing. And if you
Hmm.
take that exactly, that's horrible, and that is stealing. I don't like
Yes,
that.
I
But
agree.
if you're inspired by the idea and make it your own, I think that's how stories work. Like,
Hmm.
especially with like how many Beauty and the Beast stories have you read or seen? Like
Hmm.
the concept, even if they don't call it Beauty and the Beast, you when you market it, you say a Beauty and the Beast style story
Hmm.
because that concept, you can't copyright the concept of a beastly character with a beauty.
Hmm.
And like you can't copyright those initial concepts. It's just don't steal word for word. Don't steal concept for concept.
Hmm.
Like, don't take my adorable little three-headed dog puppy and put him in your book. But put a different adorable two-headed dog, or even if, like, you get the drift. Like, you can
Yeah,
be inspired by without copying exactly.
exactly, and that goes to it, right? Because it's like, I remember, I think we all remember. I think we're all old enough to when the Hunger Games got big, and then suddenly, out of every nook and cranny, everybody was publishing a a dystopian post-apocalyptic world with a girl that is she doesn't say that she's pretty, but she's actually she's at least conventionally attractive, being fought over by two guys, and now she has to lead a revolution, and it's like it's one of those things. It's like, yes, it's okay to have like that inspiration, like who was it that said that, was it um but what Sully said, right? But then it's just like it's just like, yes, it's marketable and all that kind of stuff, but like it's like with the whole cozy fantasy thing, right? Because Legends and Lattes really got that going, the cozy fantasy. But like when you make it your own, when you do something fun with it, because it's like your cozy fantasy is, at least with Legends and Librarians, it's Nissa and Rowan, trying to bring life back into the Misty Mountain Library. And it's really interesting to see like all these books coming to life, and how, Nissa needs to handle this, and how, how Rowan's helping her, and all this other kinds of stuff. It's fantastic. Again, Legends and Lattes. It's about an orc who wants to open up a cafe. Um, and it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, like take the ideas, like again, market yourself cozy fantasy, market yourself with a trope, but then make that trope your own, make that story your own. Do what you want to do with it, and put your own spin on it.
Definitely, because Legends and Lattes actually was a big inspiration because reading that book, I had never read a book like that.
Right.
I had never like cozy fantasy, even though there were cozy fantasy books, they weren't called that before Legends and
Hmm.
Lattes. It made a genre.
Yeah,
It
it
was
did,
just it was mind-blowing.
and it's so good.
It's
I
so good.
and I don't know if you've read Bookshops and Bone Dust,
I have
but
not.
that book is just as good, if not better, than Legends and Lattes, and
He's
it's
writing another one. There's a third one coming out.
there's a third one coming out. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the deluxe edition of both books coming in at some point, so
Jealous.
yeah.
But
But that
you
does.
can see the inspiration in librarians because the concept I took from Legends and Lattes was building something from scratch or building something that was taking a building from broken to healed.
Mhm.
Like they took a coffee shop, they made this coffee shop in a barn, I think, a
Yeah,
rundown barn or a laundry place or something that was falling apart.
yeah,
And they made it into this beautiful, wonderful, amazing, cozy cafe.
yeah.
So that was the concept I took from that book. And that's the concept, honestly, a lot of cozy fantasy authors have taken the rebuilding, revitalizing, healing the building and each other's lives as you do it.
Mm,
And that was something people identified with. So, yeah.
I mean, I'll say the same thing about what's next. What's next is a lot about that, but more so it's the revitalization of a town that was, long since been abandoned, right? But it's also, it has to do with the whole thing of like a worn down hero wanting to rebuild his life. And I just added spice to it because that, I wanted to.
Because why not?
Because why not? Exactly. So like that's I will say like what like Legends and Librarians is like sort of that focal point for a lot of authors now, and I wanted to do that as well. Just kind of again added my own flair to it.
He definitely meant lattes, but I'll take the compliment. I
But
am like terrified that I'm accidentally going to call my book Legends and Lattes sometime.
I would be so funny to see you at like a writing event and you call it Legends and Lattes by accident, and I'll just be there, just cackling to myself because it's like,
I
oh,
actually had a
Pandora.
review that said, I haven't read Legends and Lattes yet, so I don't know if these are two connected books. And I'm like, oh crap. They are not connected.
uh, but Stella did bring up, since we did talk about special editions, what's something you really want for your books but can't or haven't yet, like special editions, signed releases, things like that.
Ooh, the pretty sprayed edges on a book. The pretty gold foiling on the cover. Oh
Yes.
man, the
Yep.
custom hardcover edition.
Yep.
I do wish that I could do signed books, but I'm very secretive about where I live, and signed books would be shipped out by me, and they would have like a postal stamp of where
Yeah.
they originated, and I don't like that vibe.
No.
Plus, I just don't have the time to ship the books.
Mm-hmm.
So sadly, signed books are something I wish I could do and can't.
No, that's fair. That's one of the reasons. Like, if I ever like got writing off the ground and like finished a book or two, I would love to work with like companies like Wraithmark Press, because Wraithmark's special editions for like Legend and Lantes, Bookships and Bone Dust, and the Sword of Kaigen are fantastic. They look so good, and I can't wait to get my grubby little hands on them.
They're just so pretty. So there's book dragons.
Yes.
And like there's a difference between book dragons and book worms. Worms are the ones that actually read the books, and dragons just hoard them and collect them and
Yeah.
just look at their pretties.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
have turned into a book dragon because I don't have the time to read them anymore. But they're so pretty, so I keep collecting them.
I'm the same way. The way I like to say it is I'm a bookworm, but I am WIRM instead of
All right,
cause,
yeah.
yeah. So that's the play I put on that. I'm the same way. I don't read as much as I should, and I keep buying more books than I read. But fuck it, man. I love collecting books.
I did start listening to audiobooks, and I listen very slow because I don't have long drives. I live 5 minutes from my job, actually probably 2.5 minutes. So I don't have time to listen to audiobooks much. But like I started doing it on my lunch, or when I let the dogs out, or like when I do laundry or something.
It
Chat,
helps.
don't you dare comment on that laundry comment. But just like Sorry. I might have a thing where sometimes I forget to flip my laundry during stream, and sometimes I don't have any clothes because I didn't flip the laundry.
Look, at least you're not like Fern, because what Fern does, that's how he starts his streams. He's like, oh, hey, I'm doing a load of laundry. I'm going to stream right now, though. And it's like,
Gosh,
why the fuck do those things connect?
Hey, Stella, can you remind me to go flip my laundry on this second ad break? And then I always forget. I talk right through
God,
it.
that's great. I love that.
And then I have to rewash my clothes. But anyway.
Oh my god, that's great.
I don't even remember what we were talking about. But Stella, what are your tips for writing blocks? I don't know what that means. What are blocks? Writing blocks? Like writing...
I think talking about like writing blocks, like artist blocks.
Oh, like writer's block.
Yes.
I actually had a really egotistical comment with my book coach yesterday where I was, so my character for book 2 is a writer, and my book coach was like, well, she could be having a lot of writer's block, and like she could like give up and da-da-da-da, and we were talking, I'm like, screw that, writer's block, just push through it, like come on. And my book coach just stared at me. She's like, I don't think you would have said that 3 years ago, because like you got really stuck by writer's block all the time. I'm like, oh, I guess I did. And I still do. But writer's block, I don't think it's usually actually a block. I think writer's block can mean multiple things. For me, it usually means I don't know what's coming next, or I don't know enough about my story. Like there's something that I'm not even realizing that's bothering me that I don't know about my story, and I need the time to figure it out. And that is often what my writer's block is. For some other people, the writer's block is they just need to rest. Like they
Yes.
are just worn out, burnt out, and
Hmm.
they need to take a minute. My book coach says something that I really like called refilling your creative well.
Hmm.
Like you need to watch good TV, you need to watch good movies, you need to read good books to refill that creativity so that you have the power to be creative in your own writing. You got to take care of yourself along with your writing. And I think that's part of what writer's block is. Part of writer's block is also perfectionism.
Yeah.
A lot of people have the problem even starting because they're worried that it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be awesome. People are going to hate it. That's a really hard thing to break through. And my thing for it is I stare at the blank page a lot. Every morning I wake up and stare at the blank page for like a half an hour and I doom scroll on TikTok and I check Discord and I
Yeah.
do a billion other things. And really, if I would just start writing, it doesn't even matter what you're writing. Describe the characters, just have a little random conversation between them. Just start writing. Usually a couple hundred words in, you're golden and you're off to the races and I'm now writing again. Um, for me, also getting an outline, having a solid outline, because the part of writer's block for me was I didn't know the story well enough. So
Hmm.
getting my outline really good ahead of time, especially like I write in the morning. So I've been trying to the night before really think about what I want to write the next morning. Like really think about I need to make sure I hit these points and I take kind of bullet point notes of what I want to include the next morning. So that the next morning I hopefully don't stare at that blank page quite as long. I still do. I still do, but I
Yeah.
try.
No, that's actually really good. I honestly think it's good advice to like push through things, to push through the blocks because it's kind of like working out. I like sometimes you just need to like as much as it might suck to go to the gym, go to the gym. Go work out even for like 15-30 minutes. It might not be an hour long like you usually do, but like getting in those little workouts on days that you might not feel like working out is gonna be more helpful to you in the long run because it goes back to the whole thing about talking about consistency, right? Consistency as a writer is super important.
I agree with that because there's a stream of thought where some people say you have to write every day to be a true writer. I
Oh.
don't think you need to write every day,
Mm-mm.
but there is something to be found in writing frequently because I found that the longer break I take, the
Mhm.
harder it is to start again because
Yeah.
I feel guilty that I haven't been writing. I feel stressed that I am so behind, or I've also kind of forgotten where I am. Like I then have to reread past things or look at the outline again because I'm not in the zone like I was if I had just been writing every few days at least.
Yeah.
But also, a lot of people write only when the muse strikes them. They
Yeah.
only write when they're feeling creative. Okay, that's great if you're just writing for
Yeah.
yourself. If you're writing to actually get something finished in a timely manner, you can't wait for the muse. The muse is not coming. The muse
Hmm.
might come once every month or two. Like, you
Yeah.
have to
I
write even when you don't want to sometimes.
Yep, I know that one. Speaking of outlining, I've recently talked about like outlining as a skill that I wish I knew at first. But what about you, Pandora? What is a writing skill that you wish you developed first when you started?
Outlining.
Hey.
Outlining. So the first time I really did a hardcore outline, my outline was 60 pages. 60 pages.
Ooh, wow.
But it was amazing because I could never finish a book. I would always
Mhm.
get to like the midpoint. And the middle of a book, a lot of people call it the muddy middle because the middle just, that's where your whole plot falls apart. And that's where if your concept isn't strong enough, it will fall apart in the middle because the
Mhm.
middle is like the beginning is easier because you're setting everything up. You're introducing the characters, you're introducing the problems, you know what you need to do. And the ending, you usually know how you want it to end. But what's the in between? Like there's
Yes.
so much that you could do anything.
Yeah.
So outlining hardcore, I now outline every single chapter and I take like bullet point, this is how we start. And I used to, when I first was outlining, my book coach would have me do like this is the goal of the scene because every scene needs a goal. This is
Uh,
something that comes up that disrupts them from the goal.
mhm.
This is the new goal. These are the things that kind of disrupt that goal here, 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 and here. This
Uh,
is the turning point that like disrupts the scene and forces the character to make a choice. This is the choice they make. This is how it affects the next chapter. Because, and now that I've got that in my head, I don't actually take all those steps anymore. But the concept is every scene, your character should have something they want. There is a goal for that scene. And then you go through, and you also need to have a choice. Because choices are what make you keep reading, make you feel like your character has agency. They have to make a choice. Even if the choice is a small choice, it doesn't have to be like run away from home or stay here. Like it doesn't have to be some crazy big choice, but a choice that leads you into the next chapter so that it feels connected to the next goal for the next thing. It makes you feel like there's progress, even if it's small progress. So every chapter or every scene, however you want to word it, goals and choices. I think those are the two most important things because I realized that a lot of my chapters did not have the characters making choices, and that's why it felt stagnant.
That's completely understandable, and I actually like that. That's probably advice that I'll probably use moving forward myself. That's really good advice.
I'm glad. Yeah, just writing down what choice you want them to make that affects that moves them into the next chapter makes it feel like there's a flow.
Exactly. Shockwave's got another question. He says, or they say, I don't know. Have you ever thought of writing a horror book? And I know you've said a couple of times that you're stuck with cozy fantasy right now. So I'm kind of curious. Like, yeah, let's kind of expand on that. What are some other genres that you want to expand into?
So, funny thing is, what I write versus what I read or watch and enjoy in my own personal life, they're very different. I mean, I definitely love what I write, but man, do I love a good, dark, gritty revenge story. Like, oh, I love them. And in the beginning, all my ideas were super dark. They weren't
Ooh,
quite horror because I don't watch a lot. I don't like read a lot of horror. I don't watch a lot of horror. So they weren't quite there, but they were definitely dark. Like, I
yes.
had tree nymphs who were using people as fertilizer. Like
Ooh,
I
I
had
like that.
gorgons who were worked at a funeral home because they would turn you into the statue for your own grave. Like
Oh,
I had all
oh.
crazy things.
Whoa, pause for a second. Looks like we
Yeah,
oh, now we're back. Now you're back.
back.
We're a
Oh
brief
yeah, it
disconnect
did just
there.
all now. Yeah, I'm seeing it all now. It was so delayed it didn't even show me.
That's great. I love that.
But yeah, so I used to have like all my ideas I instantly went dark and I had to learn to pull the dark back and have like nice cozy ideas. Twitch helped me with that a lot. Like people that were in my Twitch channel to begin with, I was definitely not as cozy to begin with. And Stella is a wonderful mod and she would mod me and be like, "Hey Pandora, get cozy." And I'm like, "Oh
Uh
crap. Okay, let's do this."
See, that's like the opposite because whereas Stella is keeping you cozy, I have to be I got dragged into the degeneracy by my mods. Shout out to both Kia and Shelly, as well as like Wolf and Safi who show up every now and then. Because Kia at the very least like encouraged the fucking unhinged degeneracy that I sometimes fall into. And now I'm just unhinged like most of the time because I go off on like long rants on like whatever topic is on my mind. So that's
Fair.
sort of a funny spin.
That's why I did post a warning to my followers that we were doing this on your channel. So it was your vibes your way.
Yeah.
Just so that they knew that it might be. I didn't expect it to be super unhinged, but like the warning's there that you never know what happens on Ascaris' channel. You
Yeah.
never know
I
what
must
conversation comes up.
congratulate you. Obviously, your parents never had reason to.
Speaking of unhinged, I love that. Thank you, Soren, for for the tier one sub for 8 months in a row, buddy. I greatly appreciate you. Um, and yeah, like again, this is sort of for anybody who's coming in from Pandora's side who might not know me. I do run a very much 18 plus stream. Mind you, I'm not like talking about like super like raunchy stuff all the time, but I do broach adult topics. I do I do broach on like heavy topics. So, you know, not maybe unhinged, might not be the right word, but like I do kind of speak what's on my mind, and a lot of what's on my mind is stuff that I'm either very passionate about or very pissed off at. So
Fair.
this is one of those instances where this is something I'm passionate about, and I know you are too, and which is why I wanted to bring you in,
Heck yeah, we're so bookish.
right?
Oscar's actually found me because someone on my TikTok tagged him and was like, hey, this account's pretty bookish. You should come look.
Yep,
And I was like, that's amazing.
yep. And then we became fast friends, and we'll lurk in each other's streams most of the time.
You even protect me from the closet demons.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because the closet demon during one of my streams, he was like, "Wait, what the fuck is going on?" And then I had to instruct you in the ways of the chancla.
Yes, which I didn't know what it was. And then I Googled it and I was like, wait, it's a shoe?
Yeah,
You
it's a
told me to get
sandal. Yeah.
shoe? Anyway, long story short about that, just because I brought it up randomly. The power went out in my house, and when it came back on, my fan in my bedroom was on high, 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 and it was actually so high that I have a rolling closet door. It was high enough that it was rolling the closet door open every time I closed it. So it would, like, I close it and it would open itself again. And I was lurking in Oscaris's channel, like I'm like, holy, oh my god, there's a ghost or something. Like my doors keep opening.
It
So
had to
yes,
be.
he protects you from ghosts.
Yeah, and then it had to be like, okay, you're gonna get the chancla, you're gonna get the Mary or the Jesus candle, and you're gonna be ready to throw that at the ghost the moment you see it.
Good times, good times.
Good times. I love it.
Alrighty.
Oh man. Also, I know Pandora, you say his name is Sumad, but I know isn't it supposed to be so mad, right?
I was so mad here. Oh, that was painful to say. It's I call her Sumad, them Sumad.
Okay, them Sumad.
But it
Okay.
is supposed to be so mad because they sew. They
Yeah.
cross stitch. And they have a business, I think, actually, where they sell cross stitch stuff.
Oh,
Maybe
that's
not cross
great.
stitch. I'm probably biffing this. Something with sewing.
I love that.
And they're geeky. They're like geeky, wonderful cross stitches. They're
Ooh.
amazing.
That's awesome. Hell yeah. But welcome on in. Thank you so much for dropping by. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, they also they are such a huge supporter of my books, and so many people in my stream are, and I just appreciate it. I also appreciate Oscaris's stream. You guys have been wonderful. We're not ending. This feels like an ending comment, but I'm just like floored. You guys are asking so many questions and are so welcoming, and you're just amazing people.
And
So
guys,
thank you.
if any of you guys know anybody else who's got who's a writer or an artist that you guys would like me to interview at like a later point, do let me know. I'll try to reach out to them. I know I want to reach out to some other authors. I know I reached out to Pandora about if they had any writing friends that are interested, or that would be interested in something like this. My general policy would be, please introduce me to their work in one way, shape, or form, so that way I can like read their stuff or watch their stuff or look at their stuff, so I can get an idea of what they're about. Because like one of the reasons why I chose Pandora is because I'm super familiar with Pandora's work. Pandora has done what I would say is great work because yeah, this is not just coming from a biased standpoint of Pandora being my friend, but this is from a standpoint I really do enjoy the work that Pandora's created, so I want to give Pandora a chance to give her insights on everything that she does, and also just have a good time with her and the communities as a whole, because we share some members of our communities here and there. They don't overlap a lot.
Yeah, I don't collab super often, because collabs kind of freak me out, and I'm a very chatty person. If you haven't got it, I kind of don't stop talking. So it's hard with collabs to keep up with chat.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I don't do them as often, because I like to dedicate all the talking time to whoever wants to talk.
That's fair. I mean, it's part of the reason why we're kind of like hopping in from like questions from that I wrote for you and questions that chat has. So it's part of the reason we, because I know you and I know the whole streamer thing. We want to keep chat happy and get them in on this as well. But I also, there are also other questions that I kind of want to ask as well, because I think they're important questions. And I know some people are actually sharing the brain cell with me on some of the things that they're asking, which is great.
Funny, some of you guys are asking questions that he literally put in my list of questions I was supposed to answer.
Hey,
It's awesome.
I know. Also, Big Bone Welcome on in. Thank you so much for dropping by. I greatly appreciate it. And also, Orion, thank you so much for dropping on by, buddy. I greatly appreciate you too. Thanks so much for asking all these questions. Again, this is stuff that I'm probably going to refer back onto. And for anybody who's not watching right now, or who's watching the VOD or anything like this, or who couldn't make it, the VOD will be up later on Twitch, and I will actually take the time to upload this and maybe even put in captions. So this can go on
Gosh,
YouTube.
you can't do that. I said a bad word. I'm not captioning that bad word.
No, it's all good. Dude, this is coming from a stream where I just say like all the bad words, and I also say the bad words in Spanish.
That's better because half the people don't understand them.
I know, it's funny. Also, Blaze, I'm sorry, I did turn off tits right now because we are doing this interview thing, and I don't want to get interrupted by people throwing stuff at me. I don't know how to turn off sub alerts though, so I do apologize for the sub alerts interrupting.
Okay, so we do have some other questions. If you're good to still keep going for a little bit longer.
Of course I am. Yeah, I just wanted to sort of address everything.
Agreed.
We've got one more from Stella, it looks like, from where I'm at. Let's see. What steps do you take to outline a chapter or a book, and what info goes into an outline?
I think part of that I answered because we were probably doing this at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the goals, the new goals, choices, things like that. But also, depending on what you're writing, if it's a romance, I like adding how the romance elements are in there because I realized that if I don't put it in the outline, I don't write it. And that's how I did miss saying I love you. My characters miss saying I love you. My characters didn't have a first kiss for a while. Like, I forgot all this stuff because I didn't write it in the outline. But things like if you're keeping a plot thread that you want to continue, like if a person's going from a villain to a good guy, you could put in the outline which chapters have like this piece kind of affected their growth a bit, their change, like this, and to try and keep that arc going so you don't forget about it. So I do like including that so that you can at least put a little like note to remind yourself to have at least like a little thought. Like sometimes I want to remember to make sure he thinks about this certain thing and just write them down because you will forget them. I know that I'm really, really forgetful, but once you've done a big outline in your writing, you are going to forget things because you can only fit so many good ideas in your head at a time. So writing them down is definitely good.
Exactly, yeah. I even as someone who's like barely starting to use outlines, yeah, no, I have sort of the same thing. I follow certain ideas, make sure that ideas are readdressed at like one chapter through another and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Writing down as much as you can beforehand, and making little notes and keeping things consistent. Yeah, really helpful. Let's see. Where
we gave Sally a brilliant drawing idea.
Ooh. I wonder
That's
what
exciting.
That is. I can't wait to see it.
I'm still so like excited about the first drawing that you made us, and not saying that idea was about something related to this, but that was just so sweet, and you're amazing. I really appreciate that.
Stella, funny that you mentioned Mary, by the way, because Mary is the person that Pandora referred me to, and so I need to read Mary's work when I get the chance.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they'd be interested, but I definitely think that they have a good experience with Royal Road. Like they have knowledge they could share, and they're doing some really cool genres.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would be cool.
Also, Thevo Rue, redeeming get up and drink water. So, I do need to take a quick break and address something really quickly. So let's go ahead and take a bit of a break. Pandora, go get yourself some water if you need to and get up and
he's
stretch.
Not going to let me take over his channel for 5 minutes, guys.
I mean, do you want to take over the channel?
You're fine. You're fine.
Because I want to encourage that you get up and stretch and get water as well, because I need to do that as well. So,
sounds good.
So yeah, let's go ahead and take a quick break. Guys, feel free to continue putting questions in chat. I'm going to bring back the music, and I'll see you guys here in just a couple of minutes, okay? And also no burning down the place while I'm gone. Yeah, you bunch of gremlins, all ya. Alright. And transferring over. All right, welcome back, everybody. So let's go ahead. We got a few more questions to ask, and then I think it'll be safe to let Pandora go from the archives. Pandora can get back to writing in her little writing corner, I guess. I don't know what do you usually do in the evenings? Not really an interview question, but I'm kind of curious. Like, do you write at night?
No, I try. So I run writing sprints in my Discord. If any of you guys are writers and want to do writing sprints, I don't run them super often, but I should try more. Writing sprints are basically you all get together at a designated time and write or brainstorm or plot, outline, whatever you want to do. It's mainly just an accountability thing. You're
Mhm.
not in a voice chat. You're not actually together at all. It's just a time that you're sitting down to work on your writing or your art or whatever you want to do. And so I try to run those at night, but I'm terrible. Like my brain is mush by the end of the workday. I am just like, I am done. And so I don't get very much done at night. I've been trying to start brainstorming at night so that I can at least do better in the morning, so that I have a better jumping off point when I wake up in the morning. I definitely do my best writing in the morning before the day has gone insane. And there's nothing crazy's happened yet in the morning. So that's my best writing time.
That's fair. I am more of a night writer myself. I will have those moments where I like this idea pops into my head and I have to write it down. That more happens more so with like poetry though, than it does with like anything like prose related. But sometimes similar ideas will just come to mind. And I'm like, you know what? I need to write down this idea and then maybe I can make a book out of this at some point.
They're always fun. I
Hmm.
sometimes like I when I'm trying to fall asleep, I have some of my best ideas when I'm trying to fall asleep or when I'm waking up. Like in those moments when you're half awake, half asleep. Man, I think I have brilliant ideas. I am like a god when I'm half asleep. My scribbled down notes make no sense when I'm awake though. So I cannot verify that fact.
I love that. That's great.
I used to
Oh
keep a
man.
notebook and I would handwrite them down. But I'd be writing in the dark. Like the notes would go off the page. Like it
Mm.
was terrible.
Oh, I know what you're talking about there. Stella asked, "Do you currently have any long-term and short-term goals?"
My short-term goal is definitely to be more consistent because the past couple months with streams and writing, I haven't like I've been missing a lot of things.
Hmm.
I'm behind. Like my goal is to write 4 chapters a week, which my
Wow.
writing speed, I know it's doable because I know how much I can write, but I'm not sitting down and actually getting the words on the page. And if
Oh.
I want to finish all the book series that I want to finish, I need to start getting more consistent and getting those words out. So, long-term goal would be I signed with Podium Entertainment
Hmm.
to publish Slime Sweets and Dungeon Treats. I signed with them for 3 books of that, and each of those books is about 125,000 words. So I have quite a few words to write for that.
Hmm.
And then I signed with them to do the audiobooks for Legends and Librarians for 3 books. So that's another couple books.
Hmm.
And they didn't put dates on it. They asked me for when I want to submit things, but stupid
Oh.
me submitted dates that are in the next couple years
Oh.
because the thing with books is if you only have one book, you hook that reader, the reader loves your book, and then they have nothing else to read. They
Yeah.
will forget about you eventually.
Hmm.
Like how you get not every reader, this is just a generalization. The more books you have that they can read one book and then they can read another and another, the more hooked they'll get and the more they'll remember you because they've read more of the world, they've read more of the series, and it'll stand out more in their mind. Because some readers are whale readers
Yeah.
and they read like 20 books a month.
Yeah.
And if you only have one and that's all you have, it's hard to stay relevant in their mind. So my long-term goal is to try and get 3 books out this year.
Hmm.
2 books, 2 more books. I already got one out. 2 more books this year. Because I want to at least have a couple books for people to, if they like the one there, I have a few more for them to read. So that's my goal this year. Consistency and getting the books out. Because especially in the beginning, like until you have like 5 books out, it's just hard. Especially because I run ads and ads cost money. And
Oh.
you get someone to your first book, and I want my ad to pay off by getting them to the first book, and then they go buy book 2, 3, 4. Like, I want them to have other books to buy, so that the cost of that ad is getting me more in them reading it, or in Kindle Unlimited, because Kindle Unlimited pays wonderful as well.
Mhm.
But I want to make more use out of the person. I spent all that work getting that reader. I want to keep them. I'm greedy. I want them to stay and read more. So my
Mhm.
goal is get as many books out as I can in the next 2 years.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's completely understandable. Yeah.
It's gonna be tough. I'm gonna hate myself in like 6 months, but
Damn you, past Pandora. That's
I
what you're
know,
gonna
right?
say.
That's a problem for future me.
Uh,
Really though, I think that's part of the key. If you are planning on writing, it's actually very difficult to like schedule editors if you're trying to write on a schedule. Like some of my editors need to be scheduled 6 months out.
ooh,
My
shit.
cover designer had to be scheduled a year out. Like, and
Ooh.
then you put all these things on the schedule and you don't even know when you're going to be done. So like I have an edit scheduled for one of my books for March. I'm only on chapter 10 out of 30.
Ooh.
Like so now that needs to be done by March. And then I have the next edit after that in May. Will I have enough time to get it ready for the first editor in March and the second editor in May? I have
Ooh.
no idea. But you have to schedule them so far in advance that it's kind of me guessing at this point. So the key for me was I had to learn how much I can comfortably write.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I can comfortably write 1,000 words a day.
Mm-hmm.
I can write 2,000 words a day, but that's on a good day. I don't usually do that. But I
Mm-hmm.
can comfortably write 1,000. I just need to sit down and do it.
Gotcha. I
So,
see.
yeah,
Yeah. That's fair.
consistency.
Yeah. It's rough. Looks
It
like there's a
is.
question for the both of us. What's your least favorite trope to see in writing?
Hmm. Love triangles done badly.
Yeah, fair.
I think love triangles can be done well, but they're usually not.
Yeah. You know what? In a similar vein, harem, like any sort of like, or any sort of like, relationship where there are multiple people involved. Because don't get me wrong, like there are good harem out there, like Ranma One Half is one, or some other ones as well. But when it's very clearly that like none of the characters have personality, like whatsoever, that's one of those ones where it's just like, yeah, you kind of lost me in the sauce there, because I'm not the like, if it's just like horny bait, I guess is just where, like, if it's done poorly, like I'm just not the biggest fan of it, because it's just like, well, it's just horny bait, man. I'm not really into this. I'm not a 14-year-old who is gonna look past bad writing and all that.
That is true, because I think tropes can be done so well, but when they're not done well, and they're not done well over and over and over again in so many books, it gets rough. Especially, I agree with Harem because I appreciate it when it's done well, but it's so rarely done well.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is probably alpha holes.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't like that kind of vibe. No, bully romance. I don't like
Oh.
the vibe of bully romance. I'm not knocking anyone who writes it because I'm not yucking anyone's yum, but for me personally, it's not something I enjoy
Mm-hmm.
because it's dark.
I agree with you on that one. Again, we don't kink shame here in this house, but
Agreed.
but there are just some kinks that I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna raise an eyebrow at, when it's just like, when even like outside of like what are meant to be like the kinky scenes, where like the characters are acting like kind of like assholes to one another, like a little too much. I'm like, do you really like each other? Do you really love each other if you're being like dickheads to one another all the time? So yeah,
Right.
that's rough.
But I agree that there is a person who will like every story, and I am not shaming anything anybody likes. That was just my personal opinion, of course. And that's just something I'm not actually super familiar with it because I've been uncomfortable to even try a ton. So maybe it's a lot different than I think it is.
Maybe,
But
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Any writing pet peeves? What do you mean by that, Stella? I'm kind of curious, but Like, is it like stuff that you have like an issue with that you do yourself, or that writers do to themselves, or that stuff that again that goes back to the least favorite trope thing?
My writing pet peeve of myself is when I tell myself I'm going to remember something and I don't need to write it down, and then I have no idea. And in my head, that was the best idea ever, and I'll never know. I'll never remember.
Yeah, yeah, I know that feeling too. I know that feeling too. um,
It's so painful. And it probably wasn't that good of an idea, but I think it is because I can't remember it.
I love that. Um, well, I think for me, it has to be sort of it has to do with like ADHD, right? Because I jump around from ideas a lot, and I can't, and I have a hard time like sticking to an idea to actually like finish something. I it's part of the reason why like I'm not for as much as I have written, I have not published anything. Like I've got like hundreds of thousands, if not, millions of words written across multiple different like Google Docs and other places, but I just can't get anything off the ground because I just bounce around a little too much.
Seen that with a lot of writers actually. It's unfortunately more common than it should be. It's just people love the world building part, or they love the idea generation because it's the shiny new idea syndrome, and
Hmm.
just everything is so cool and you want to be able to do everything, but realistically you can't do everything right now.
Yeah.
Like trying to focus down and figure out what you want to do now and finishing it so that you can do the other cool things later is really hard, because I have a super secret project that I'm working on that I shouldn't be
Oh.
because I have two whole other series I need to finish first.
Ooh,
But
yeah,
yeah.
that sounds rough.
So I guess another pet peeve of mine is setting myself goals that I can finish but don't. Like I shame spiral a lot.
Hmm.
I say that I'm going to write and then I don't write. And every day that I don't write, I feel horrible. If I don't start my day off with writing something, I feel horrible and worse the rest of the day. And if I miss it again a second day, it just feels worse and worse. And as the days go by, I feel like I'm like letting myself down. I'm getting so behind. It's getting worse and worse every day that passes. But every day that passes, it's harder and harder to write again because it's been so long and I'm like out of the zone. And it just becomes this horrible spiral of I want to write, I desperately want to write, but I can't write. And I'm the only thing stopping me is me and my own thoughts.
Hmm.
But it just becomes this horrible thing that sometimes it goes weeks and I haven't written until finally I need to write something. And I finally do it and I feel so much better. That's my own, like, I am my own worst enemy. And I wish I could fix that part. Should really work on that this year.
No, that I understand that a lot because again, I am my own worst enemy a lot of the time as well. It's rough. It's really hard to kind of like get out of like those like recursive like brain spaces, right? It's
Hmm.
um and it's just like it's rough. It's really hard sometimes to keep the writing train going, especially when it like the brain is being weird.
It is really hard because it's such a, like, writing is such a creative thing that if you're just not feeling it that day, like sometimes you really do just need to take a break.
Hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes that's valid, but when the break becomes running away from your writing, that's not a break anymore. That's procrastination. And I
Yes,
am the queen of
exactly.
procrastination.
Yep. I'm
Not good.
doing a little bit better with that myself just because I'm trying to keep myself like motivated. At the very least, if I'm trying to like write something, it goes back to what we were talking about before where you like trying to at least write something at least every day or every other day is what's helping me kind of like keep up with it, even if it's just like making notes about something that I want to approach, right?
Because it doesn't like you're writing whole chapters or thousands of words. It could
Hmm.
just be like, here are the cool ideas I'm thinking about right now. Or if you're trying to work on a character, just brainstorm a bit on the character once, like a little bit every day. Just spend 10 minutes. One cool thing I once saw, it was a My Hero Academia meme, or not a meme, an art that the creator made. And it was all the characters in My Hero Academia interacting with a cat. and how based on their personality, they each interacted with the cat differently. And
Yeah.
it was so you could see perfectly their personalities portrayed in how they interact with this cat. And I think things like that are interesting because you can develop little character tidbits, just work on something every day, even if it's weird of how will my character interact with a cat.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. Yeah. And let's see. Sierra says, or asks rather, would you rather be a main character in a story and can't control how that story goes, or be able to watch the story unfold from the outside, but you are able to change the story?
Ooh. Um,
Ooh.
I have analysis paralysis, so I think I wouldn't know how I want to change the story.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll go with be the main character in the story because the main characters win, right? Right? Like, I guess that depends on what genre. Are we talking like dystopian or are we talking
Oh
cozy
God, yeah,
fantasy?
good point. What are you like with genre?
That's like the where you want to live memes, which fantasy world, and they show
Oh,
like Attack on Titan as one of them, and everyone's like, who the F would choose to live in Attack on Titan world?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know who would want to live there, especially like at any given point in time, because it's like the past is messed up, the present is messed up, and then the future is also messed up. So,
It's
yeah,
just
no.
all a bad place to live.
Yeah, it really is. Um,
Ah.
let's see. What piece of work has invoked an intense feeling of fear? And it doesn't have to be writing, and this is from Selly.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, one thing that really freaks me the heck out, and none of you use this against me because it actually legitly freaks me out. Possession.
Ooh.
Or oh, what was that TV show where the guy from Doctor Who was a villain? Jessica
Mhm.
Jones?
Oh.
The idea of someone mind controlling you, like forcing you to do things that you don't want to do, it just freaks me the heck out. The loss of control and so possession type stuff, mind control. There was a movie where people were being like Sims and other people were video game controlling them.
Ooh.
That was terrifying too. Like all of that concept, it just freaks me out to my core.
That's
But
yeah.
other than that, I can't think of anything specific besides that.
No, that's fair. Um, all right, so I got a question for you. I'm kind of curious. Since I know you've mentioned a couple of times about the parts you didn't like about playing with lightning. Um, so this is kind of like a three-parter question. So, what about it didn't you enjoy? And what parts of it did you enjoy? And would you ever plan on revisiting that world? And I know you're stuck on the not stuck, but you are doing cozy fantasy right now. So, but like after all that is said and done, all those books are written out. Would you go back to the world of playing with lightning?
So, if I get enough readers who want to see more playing with lightning, I
Hmm.
will definitely go back because I even have half the second book written. I have the third book outlined. Like, I spent years on that series. But I gave it up because it's a like, I love the book,
Hmm.
but there weren't people instinctively looking for it. So it would
Gotcha.
have been a better book for me to publish after I already had a following who was willing to give something I wrote a try.
Fair.
That maybe it's not something that they really necessarily thought they'd like, but they'd give it a try because they liked me as an author.
Gotcha.
Um, Writing it when I had no following was rough because nobody is searching for spicy Yu-Gi-Oh! Greek mythology stories. Like nobody's instinctively looking for that because it's
Yeah.
not common enough. With cozy fantasy, that's common enough. You're searching for cozy fantasy if you like it. You're actively looking for more.
Hmm.
Or like magical library stories, you're actively looking for those stories. So that's where the marketing part came in.
Yeah.
Um where I started writing things people were actively looking for. But the things that I loved about Legend Librarians, playing with lightning. Um,
Beautiful.
I loved Lena's revenge story. I loved seeing her go from unappreciated, um, unloved into this badass take charge woman who even threatened Zeus himself. Like,
E-
oh, that scene is like it sends chills every time I was reading that scene. So
It's a
that
good
was
scene.
definitely what I loved most about it. And the card game part was really silly fun. I loved teaching people a little bit about Greek mythology through a magical dueling card game. That
Yeah.
was really cool too.
Yeah, I will say it's like that's one thing I really liked about it too. And yeah, no, Lena as like a female protagonist is so cool. And it's one of those things. It's just like I like Aegon. Don't get me wrong. Aegon's kind of a dick at first, like because he wanted to sabotage Lena, but like
Hmm.
he grew away from that, which is good. But like Lena was just so much fun because it's like I wanted to see her screw over her former partner. I wanted her to get her, to be at the top of the rankings and all that. I wanted to see her succeed so bad. And I like I said, I can't wait to like see more of it. I need to read your novella, the prequel novella. I think that's what you called
Oh
it.
yeah.
I need
That
to
was
read that.
definitely light because it's so short. It was
Mm-hmm.
insta love light.
So, but I'm kind of biased in the sense that I want to see what a Hades deck would look like because Hades is my
Oh,
favorite.
3.
Yeah. um, it's worth the wait though. It's worth the wait. I would love to see I would just want to see how the Hades deck would play, and just like and see who's like the protagonist for those books.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I just need to find because there is an audience for that series. There is. I just need to find them, and I'm not good enough at marketing to find them. And that's
Yeah.
one of the saddest things that a lot of people don't tell you about writing a book. You
Hmm.
can write the best book ever,
Hmm.
and if you can't find a way to get people to find it, it's just dead in the water. No one will read it. You'll feel like a terrible writer. It'll be
Yes.
miserable,
Yeah.
even if it's a great book. Just because so many books are published every year that if you don't have a plan to have people find your story,
Hmm.
you're just done before you even start. And that's just so depressing because there are so many amazing stories that just the author doesn't know how to get them in front of you.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
And that kind of does make the question afterwards, after the fact. Then, how has Twitch helped you with getting your writing like noticed? Have you noticed like if the numbers have gone up for like on Royal Road? I don't know. I'm not sure if Royal Road provides you statistics, but or in the case of Playing with Lightning and like has Playing with Lightning like seen like more people reading it, considering the fact that um that you stream and you have a pretty like consistent following of people. Like whenever I hop in, you're pulling in 30 something people, which is really good, all things considered, right? Compared to compared to like some like other people, like on Twitch, because like Twitch is super saturated as it is. So having a big audience like that, filling a room of people, 30 people, right? Has
Yeah.
that had any effect on like your like of the eyes on your books?
Um, I don't think there's as much crossover with Twitch and readers as you would expect or
Yeah.
as you would hope. But the thing about Twitch is it allows you to make connections,
Hmm.
such solid connections that the people who have found my books through
Hmm.
Twitch, they are like the amazing diehard fan, the ones
Hey.
that they come to all the streams and they love the books and they share the books with other people and they tell all their friends. And because they don't just know the book, they know me too. And Twitch
Hmm.
gives that personal connection that is amazing.
Yeah.
And I just think it's fantastic. Actually, Stella got in really into Playing with Lightning, and I was so appreciative. She was actually one of my very first followers. She was in my second Twitch stream, and she's been with me ever since.
Oh wow.
And she actually I that was when I was really struggling to write book 2 of Playing with Lightning, and
Yeah.
I was about to give up writing entirely because nobody read book 1. It bombed. Nobody
Ooh.
liked it. It was just bad. I was miserable. I couldn't even write book 2. I was halfway through and struggling and hating it because like how can you write a second book for a series that no one's reading? Like it
Hmm.
was so rough. And her loving the book that much made me keep writing. Like it made me, even though I shifted into something else and I put that one on a hiatus, it like the connections and just the support and amazingness that Twitch can give you,
Yeah.
that has had a bigger impact than number of actual sales or readers or anything. I will admit that Royal Road the other way around has gone
Mhm.
pretty well. People from Royal Road have found my Twitch, and I've
Okay.
gained Twitch followers from Royal Road. It has not gone the other way as much from Twitch to Royal Road, especially because I don't think Royal Road is like a thing that a lot of Twitch viewers know about.
Yeah.
But it goes the opposite way really well. So Royal Road has come to Twitch really well.
Yeah, and that's part of the going back to like talking about marketing and all that. That happens a lot with like Twitch and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Like putting yourself out there is like the most important thing you can do. Um, so but it's like you said, Twitch is kind of hard because it's mostly gamers and all that kind of stuff, and like how many people actually are still reading nowadays. But I mean, I will say though, there is enough of like this sort of blend of an interest in like writing and reading, because I mean we're on the writing and reading category right now on Twitch, and that was not a category a year ago, right? It's now, but it's a
I was really
category.
shocked when I saw that you were on this. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I didn't even know that was a thing because I looked for it and
Mhm.
I was shocked.
Yeah. It's fairly new, and it's part of like, there's it's very new to Twitch. And so, there is enough of an interest there that Twitch noticed and was like, okay, well, we're gonna introduce this. Also, Zedric, welcome on in, buddy. Thank you so much for dropping by. And for everybody new who has dropped by, I appreciate you all. You guys have been very fantastic for again providing questions and enjoying this little interview that we're doing right now. Um,
You guys have been really amazing. This has been so fun. Like this went way better than I expected at least.
I know, same here. Your guys' support and showing up for this has blown me out of the water. It's great. I think we got like time for maybe one or two more questions, and Selly did pose one more. Let's see. How do you two physically take care of yourselves during long writing sessions?
You assume that I do. No, I'm kidding. So
Oh,
I actually write on my couch on a laptop and it kills my wrists. I shouldn't do it. I really shouldn't. But my dog really likes to curl up by my laptop where the fan is and it blows out hot air. And my dog just loves like the heat. And she doesn't like me being at the desk because then she doesn't have any attention.
aw.
So I don't write for longer than 2 hours at a time.
Mhm.
I take break like 2 hours is my point. I kept track of how long it takes me to get into a writing session. It usually takes me about a half an hour of kind of doom scrolling and nonsense and just sitting staring at a blank page before I actually get in gear.
Yeah.
And then after like 2 hours is usually when I start declining. I'm obviously
Uh,
getting less words written. So like the half an hour to like hour and a half to 2 hours, that's usually my money time.
mhm.
So finding when you write best and how long you write best. Because a lot of people do writing sprints for like a half an hour or 15 minutes and
Mhm.
they get like a couple hundred words done in a very short time and then they take breaks in between. I
Oh,
personally, it doesn't work for me. So I just write for an hour or two and then I go do something else. I've never done much more than that at a time. So like I'll try
gotcha.
and do one in the morning and then another at night.
Mhm.
The night ones never work for me though, but eh.
That's fair. No, I got you. I probably write for around that period of time, mind you. This more has to do with like writing for like schoolwork. So, I will say getting up every once in a while is one of those good things to do. Um, I always have a pot of tea on hand, to keep myself hydrated. And the other thing too is, especially if you are doing anything like studying for a book or writing for a book, or like doing research of any kind, be sure to sleep on stuff. Um, like sleeping is probably like one of those like low key things that you need to do when working on anything, because it helps you process new information, right? So I make sure like if I'm gonna be writing at night, that like the next day moving forward, like I can sleep in and like really just kind of sleep on something and just process.
Oh, I super agree with that because your brain just kind of puts itself to work when you're sleeping
Hmm.
or doing something else. Like, I'm sorry, but I need one of those shower notebooks. They make waterproof notebooks that you can put in your shower
Oh
because when
yeah.
you're just doing something mindless, like that you don't really think about, that you're so used to doing. It's repetitive. You do it every day, like washing dishes. I don't wash dishes every day. I have a dishwasher, so that doesn't really help me. But the repetitive tasks, like your brain can just figure things out while you're doing that, and it just suddenly you'll be sparked with the great idea.
Exactly, yeah.
I know a lot of people go for walks. When they get stuck on something, they take a walk, because the same thing, you just go for a walk and let your brain process. It does the magic.
Exactly, yeah. So, and also, one thing as well, try to stay away from your phone and computer for a little bit. Um, Unplugging every now and then, going for a walk, doing something else that is like get away from the phone, get away from the computer, the TV, and all that kind of stuff. Unplugging every now and then is also really helpful, I would say.
Agreed. Because the second you have your phone by you, that's probably actually, Stella, you're asking, what are some writing habits that you would try to avoid?
Yeah.
That is probably my writing habit, is that I am on social media too much while I'm trying to write.
Yep, same. I agree.
I lose
Unplug.
too much focus.
Yeah, unplug if you can. Like, if you can get like yourselves one of those like fancy like writing desks, or not writing desks, but like those writing computers that only have like the writing program on them.
Oh, like the free writes, yeah.
Yeah. Get yourself one of those if you get it right, or have a notebook. Like, because like again, notebooks are cheaper. You can like it doesn't hurt to handwrite stuff every now and then, right?
I do actually know a few writers who they handwrite their draft and then they go type it up. And when they type it up, they do like their first quick edit as they're typing. And I think that's a really cool idea. I've never done it, but that seems cool.
Right. I take a lot of notes in my notebooks, so I might maybe it's not. It's more has it might have to do with like small scenes that I have in mind and things like that. That's sort of like my general like use for notebooks, but I'm not surprised that people still handwrite a lot of their drafts. Well, one thing I actually
Another
just
writing
remembered.
pet peeve of my own is thinking that future me can figure it out better than present me can. So
I
I
love
have a
that.
writing thing, which a lot of writers do. It's called TKing. T and K are not in any word right next to each other. So if you don't know what's going on, you put TK. And then when you do like a control F and you find TK in your document, you can go back and find all the things you couldn't figure out before.
Oh, that's
Which is
good.
awesome, because you can like do TK, insert battle scene here, TK. And then when you search, you'll find you don't need to get hung up on that scene just because you don't know exactly what you want it to look like. If you know what you need to go there. For me, it's a lot of names. Because if I can't figure out a name for a character or a name for a restaurant or what food they're eating, my God, I'll spend like an hour trying to decide what food they're eating. I'll be Googling food in different cultures and I'll be off on a tangent when I could have just said TK, figure out what food they're writing or
Exactly.
eating, and
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah. I like that idea a lot.
Except
And
then future you will go back and find out that you have 100 TKs and now you need to go back and fix it.
oh boy, gotta love that, huh? Damn, you passed me.
Some of them end up in drafts that I've sent people to read and they're like, what is this? And I'm like, oh no.
Oh no. Oh boy,
Oh
that's not good.
no.
Uh for a final question, and this is one from Shockwave. I don't even know if it deserves to be the final
You're
question or
not
not.
asking this. No.
No, not
That is
asking
the
this one.
final
Okay, I won't
question.
ask it then. Okay.
We deserve a writerly final question. Nothing bad to Shockwave at all. Nothing bad.
Okay, gotcha. All right. All right. Let's end on a little bit of an ego moment then. What is a moment that you've had with writing or consuming any kind of media rather where you're like, I can do this better. Like, have you ever like just been like, this thing did not satisfy my taste on it, but I like this idea. I'm gonna go ahead and write it and do it better.
I've definitely had those moments where I've thought, I wish there was something better. I don't think I've ever thought I'm going to do this better.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't think I've ever had that moment because I don't think I have enough confidence in myself to think that I can do it better.
That's fair.
But I definitely have had the moments, like especially with anime, when I see something really cool, I'm like, oh, I wish they did this better. Then I'll go search out what are other anime that are like this, and then I'll go watch that. I'm sure I do it in my writing. I'm sure I implement themes I like and want to
Mhm.
see more of. But yeah, I can't think of anything necessarily that I thought I wanted to do better.
Okay, no, that's fair. I've
Probably
definitely had moments
secretly
like
in my brain, there's probably something, but I can't think of it.
yeah, no, completely understandable. I am of the same mindset. I think I've done something like that as well, where it's just like, yeah, I think I could do this better, or like I can like, but I can't think of anything like myself. But like I know I've had moments where I want to try like writing something like this and give my own spin on it at the very least. I've had moments like that.
Definitely, because like the Legends of Librarians, that was definitely a moment with Legends and Lattes that I was like, I want to do this my own way,
Hmm.
not better, because I don't think you can really beat that vibe. Like that's a classic. I know it's not even that old, but it's a classic now.
Exactly,
um,
yeah.
but yeah, definitely the vibe of I want to do something like this. That happens to me a lot.
Hmm.
Especially with good anime, because I happen to watch a lot of anime, so that's just what's coming to mind. But I
Gotcha.
often like see, ooh, this one thing in here is so cool. I want to do that too, but in my own way.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Exactly. I get
I have a
you.
lot of those moments.
Oh yeah, no, that's I think it just goes back to the whole thing of like, you know, be inspired by stuff, make it your own, do something fun with it, all that kinds of good stuff, and just, put put your signature on things that you want, right? Make it your own, and have fun with writing. I think it's just sort of like the ultimate like culmination. If you want a TLDR, it's just like have fun with writing, make it your own, and stick with it.
Agreed. And I haven't asked you any questions, but you should talk about your rating a bit because you haven't talked about your own very much.
Well, I
What
mean,
you working on?
this is a you showcase, but
Oh, this is a me showcase.
th-
Okay.
but I will do you that justice. So a lot of my writing, initially I used to write in journals too. I actually wrote like a first or almost full first draft of a like a YA type action adventure, very much based on like shonen, like Naruto and Bleach and all that. And I wrote like a complete first draft on it, and then when I went back to like try to like type it up, I was not happy with it. I've tried like multiple times to actually get that draft going, but it never went anywhere. So this is actually like the first story where Caleb as a character shows up. Um, and Caleb as a character in that story, I'm not sure if it'll ever come out, if I ever will do something with it. I just could not really get off the ground with where I wanted to go with it because a lot of the ideas had changed because I went from sort of like a very tropey like shonen type thing to then a story that has to deal a lot with identity and the and sort of the struggle, like a lot of it's also very personal because it's just like the struggles of being seen as different fundamentally, right? And I had a really hard time with it because it's just like I think it's a book that requires a lot of research because since it's urban fantasy, I need to like research different mythologies, and also I also want to include characters of like different backgrounds and marginalized communities, but I want to do them justice. And but where I was doing a lot of that, I've got also like other drafts somewhere of like stories that I had in mind. I also used to write a lot online, but I was doing a lot more of the forum writing, like the RPs, the role plays, and all that. Um, and I don't know if anybody else was here or anybody else was on this website at the time when it was still alive, but the website was called Vampire Freaks. It was just like this super like industrial goth website full
I
of
learned how to
forums.
code on that website
Yeah?
because you had to code your profiles.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I used to write on Vampire Freaks, when I definitely shouldn't have, by the way, because that's how I learned how to do spicy writing. Mind you, I was like 14 to like 16, or like 18. I don't remember when the site closed down finally, but like, um, I was just, I was a fucking teenager on that website, doing spicy role plays, And that's how I learned how to get good at at doing spicy writing scenes. Because there were just a bunch of horned up goth teenagers and adults doing this shit, and I was just like, oh my god. Like, thinking back on it, it was so dumb and so edgy, but like, honestly, I will say some of the people on there were like really good writers, and I hope that they're still writing to this day. If not, I hope they're just doing well, because those people were all fantastic.
And everyone
they were
starts
very
writing
helpful.
somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And I will, like, sure, I dealt with people that were kind of like pretentious assholes every now and then, but most people that I interacted with, they were so nice. They were so helpful in like trying to get better at writing.
That is something about the community that I love. So many writers are willing to help out other writers.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful to see. And using if like anything that I've gone through that I can help somebody else not go through the same horrible thing.
Yeah.
Or if I can give some of my success, not that I've had a ton of success yet, but if I can give some of that away, like it doesn't hurt me to help people. So I love that vibe.
Yeah, exactly. And Stella, the apparel brand has always been a thing. It's been one of like the sort of like the big names in like industrial goth like apparel. They just had a website for like a lot of websites back in like the early 2000s and all that had like forum websites associated with them. But yeah, but now Vampire Freaks is like dead and buried for the most part, and a shit ton of my writing.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's another thing. Back up your writing.
Yes, back
Like,
it up.
I write in Google Docs. There's lots of controversy over that of what Google Docs is using your writing for, but I write in Google Docs because anywhere I go, I have it. I really like being able to, if I have a quick idea, jotting it down in one place and then I can get to it when I go back home. But
Mhm.
it is backed up. I used to write and just save it on my computer, and then my computer crashed, and
Oh.
holy smokes. I mean, I got it back, but
Mhm.
it was terrifying. So now I keep everything in. I actually write in For the Words, which is that video game writing app I use, and then I copy it over into Google Docs, which is a problem because the formatting is actually super weird. They're terrible with quotes and M dashes. And so like I have a list of things that before I send it to any editors, I have to go fix all these formatting things.
Mhm.
But yeah, anyway, back up your writing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And to sort of like end it off on a hopeful note, at least my writing is like I'm still writing now. I am actually writing I like a basically it is Caleb's lore as a fantasy story. While I'm not writing the original story that Caleb showed up in, I am writing the lore of Caleb's world as where he is the Demon King. He's well, not the Demon King. He is a Demon King. It's all this like fantasy lore type stuff. I actually initially wrote it as like a D&D thing, like its own D&D world and all this other kinds of stuff. But because of my general feelings towards Wizards of the Coast, I'm kind of moving away from the D&D aspect and making it more of a general fantasy world that I'm going to write in. Caleb has his own story, but like it's its own hashed out world with its own lore and all this other kinds of stuff. I guess the best way to put it is like Caleb's story in this world is sort of like a Count of Monte Cristo type thing where or like an Odyssey type thing where he's away from home for so many years and he's fighting his way back. But also it is this also political drama because he is this exiled prince and he needs to reclaim his throne and he needs to do all this stuff. And there's other stories that I'm working on that are not in this world. One is called What's Next, which is one that Pandora has read. She read like sort of the prologue chapter and like the first draft of chapter 1, where it is a hero who's kind of been fucked over by the end of his heroic journey, and now he's trying to rebuild his home and all this other kinds of stuff. He's rekindling a romance with one of his adventuring members. And it's this whole thing that I want to get into. Don't want to spoil it too much, but like again, it's this cozy fantasy type thing but there's spice added to it.
Do why I like it so much, because as you were saying that is like the cozy fantasy like reader expectation, like rebuilding your life, rebuilding your relationships, like finding out who you want to be after life, like
Hmm.
after a different thing you've done. And I really liked that. You should finish that. You should
Yeah,
get writing. Go
I
write
will.
something.
I will. Um, and also Cedric, I play a lot of Magic too, and I have opinions. Yeah, I've got a lot of opinions on WotC. You're not getting an ooh woo out of me tonight, Alex. That redeem is gonna. I'm gonna refund you those points. We're gonna end it off on a professional note.
Yeah, we're professionals here.
We're professionals. You're getting your points back. I mean, technically, I did say it, but you're not getting the cutesy vibe out of me. No way. Um, I still plan on streaming after this. I think I'm gonna play some Marvel Rivals after this, but Pandora, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. Um, I do appreciate you being the you being the first one for the author showcase interviews. I do plan on doing more of these. And I think this is a good way to get the ball rolling on this, having a friend to chat with. Where can we
It has
find
definitely been easier
Pandora?
since I know you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot easier when you know somebody, right? Pandora, please go ahead and like link all your stuff in chat. And I'll go ahead and give you another shout out while you do that.
Gosh, linking all my stuff in chat. I should have like prepared this.
Beautiful. Good job.
Good job.
Good job. Hey.
There is the book that just came out. Royal Road. Oh gosh, I don't even know my Wait, it's in my Discord. I am so like I
love
try to
this.
be professional with everything and then I don't do anything I'm supposed to be doing. Like there's so many more things. The problem with writing and being a self-published author is there is always more that you could be doing.
Mhm.
Like there's just always more.
Yes.
And
yeah.
that's a really hard thing for me to get over because like I want to write. I need to write. I need to outline. I need to do all that. But you also need to market. You need to promote yourself. You need to have links to all your stuff when someone's doing an interview for you.
Yep.
And it's just a lot of stuff, but you can't be an expert at everything. Muddling your way through, doing the best you can, and focusing on your writing. Whatever you can do, any little step gets you closer. And I think that's important to keep in mind.
Exactly. Yeah. I completely understand and I agree with that. Yeah. Um, I will say really quick before you go. Again, it was a pleasure to have you. We should get together and like collab and do stuff like this in the future. I know we don't play too many of the same games, but we need to hang out more. I will say that.
We could do that. We could do
Yeah.
that. I'm terrified of collabs, but this has been going well.
Yeah. So guys, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna hit another break. And I will be back with some Marvel Rivals. I would like you guys to stick around if you're new to the channel. I'm also going to let everybody from Pandora's side. I'm going to let you guys know that I have my re-debut coming up here at the end of February. February 22nd will be my re-debut for my new model. And I'm hoping
it is awesome looking. I got a sneak peek.
Right. And I can't wait. The other thing too is I'm trying to hit 1,000 followers. I'm just a little bit short of 70 away from getting to there. So if you guys could spread the word, if you guys could hit that follow button, I would greatly appreciate you all doing so. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna hit a quick break, and we're gonna let Pandora go.
Just a quick last minute. Oscurus, your fans, your followers. I don't really know if you have a name for people. You guys have been amazing. I appreciate all the comments, all the questions, all the support. You guys have just been wonderful and made this so much easier because I was pretty nervous about this. And you guys are just amazing. And thank you for hanging out for a couple hours.
I know, you guys are great. And Zedric, thank you for the total of 120 biddies to my face. I greatly appreciate that. You guys are fantastic. And I'll be back here in just a few minutes, and Pandora will have a good night on her end. At least I would hope they would have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, see you guys here in just a few minutes.